Scribblenauts, the game where the only limitation is your imagination, and the technical limitations of the Nintendo DS. Okay, I don't actually know why. The game crashed. I'm doing something that the game does not like. The game crashed. I don't know what I did that it didn't like, but it probably was the tables going through each other if I had to guess. In theory, this leads to fun and creative solutions to new and interesting problems. In practice, I just spawned jetpack and rope to solve almost every level. So while replaying Scribblenauts games searching for a fun challenge in them, I kept spawning different items to try them out and never the same object more than once. Unless I got lazy and just spawned a jetpack. But I quickly realized that was the most fun I've ever had playing the game, so I had an idea. Scribblenauts, the game where your only limitation is your imagination. Unfortunately for me, my imagination hates me. Can you 100% complete Scribblenauts without reusing objects? Just beating it wouldn't be enough to make this a challenge. Scribblenauts has 220 total levels, with half of those being action levels and the other half being puzzle levels. How speedruns define beating the game is beating the final action or puzzle level in the final world. Since speedruns typically like going fast, that means replaying the same quick level over and over to win allers, which unlock worlds. So you keep replaying the same level and just skip to the final world. And even then, 220 levels isn't that bad considering there are over 22,000 items you can summon in this game, which is kind of insane to think about. So I'll be getting a gold star on every level, which means I have to beat every level 4 times. Once to get the silver star, and then 3 times in a row for gold. During those 3, the game does something similar to this challenge, where you can't spawn an object you used during a previous clear. But you'll always regain the ability to summon them for other levels or if you exit and try again. 22,000 items for 880 levels doesn't sound too bad until you realize how many of those items aren't very useful, to put it lightly. Like 346 different buildings, 455 different clothing items, and 1,020 different people. We will run out of useful items, but we'll take full advantage of anything we can, no matter how bad. So without further ado, University. Most tutorial levels don't even give us the option to summon, until 06 tasks us with summoning an item to progress. It can be literally anything.
As long as it's a real-life physical object, not a place, proper name, suggestive material, shape, Latin or Greek root word, alcohol, race or culture, vulgarity, or copyrighted.
But I wanted to bless this run with the most powerful being that gets even more powerful every moment it's alive. Good thing whatever you summon here dies instantly. 09 requires us to summon food for the chef. Another principle of this run is to summon obscure things you wouldn't think of instantly whenever possible. Even something almost worthless is better than something almost worthless that you've never heard of in your life, as we can summon the prior without 100 wiki tabs open. So after chat told me to summon a zucchini, we get to the final tutorial summon. 010 has alleged that Maxwell can't jump high enough up to get to the starlight. It's worth noting I'm playing on the collection, which added movement that doesn't make you want to black hole yourself. In the original game, you could only move with the stylist, making Maxwell's movements much more strict and overall terrible. The collection added face button controls, making me only want to tornado myself. They're just fun to ride. It's still terrible, but slightly less so. It also added a double jump glitch. At least I think it's a glitch. I can't really tell because all you have to do is jump by pressing up while pressing or holding left or right. Still in the air, let go of left or right, and jump again. I banned all major glitches for this challenge since being able to trivialize so many obstacles with such a powerful glitch goes against what I think will make this challenge interesting, meaning we'll still need a summon here. I chose hoverboard. Even though it sounds really cool, it's just a board stuck to the ground in this game. Like, what if that's actually the only use for hoverboard? to give me a slight amount of height. We only need to beat each tutorial level once for a gold star, but from now on, we'll need to beat each level 4 times. 1-1 action. Because this is an action level, the star is already spawned in at the start and Maxwell needs to get to it. It's stuck up in a tree he can't reach. Interestingly, this is another level that the double jump glitch would solve without summons. I typically go for the same type of solution with similar objects since I try to beat each level with as weak an object as possible. So here, instead of getting more height, I chose to knock the star rate down with stuff like tennis ball, because tennis ball is so terrible. I'll only show one solution to each level in this video for the most part, since they're usually similar, and show a list of what I used for each clear after I talk about the level. Here's my favorite for this one. What about like a leaf? What if we used a leaf to get this out of a tree? Okay. I don't know why that worked so well, but there you go. Leaf. Runs over, we don't have a leaf. One, 2 action. Maxwell needs to press 2 buttons that open 2 gates, blocking him from pulling a lever that opens the gate the starlight is behind. This is the first actual level we can beat without summons. We just push 2 suspiciously placed rocks onto the buttons, opening our path to the lever and starlight. Beating a level without summons is the best possible score for this challenge. Not only is it cool whenever possible, it also saves us from summoning 4 things at a minimum, 1 for each clear. So I'll be beating as many levels as possible without summons, and some of the solutions for these are so crazy and funny to me. What? No, please. Oh, that is not how I expected that to... I have to rewatch that. And I want everyone watching to guess what percentage of levels I beat without summons. It's more than you think, but also, it might be less than you think. Pause the video if you need time to guess, and maybe comment below so people can make fun of your guess. I promise I'll heart it even if it's stupid. And hey, maybe subscribe too, that'd be cool. One, 3 action. Maxwell has the option to go over, dig through, or swim under the ground blocking him from the starlight. This is interesting to get so early, since it's letting us choose which form of movement is the least valuable to summon. For anyone wondering why not just swim without summons, Maxwell is strong enough to push boulders and most things behind said boulder, but he doesn't know how to swim. So he can only swim underwater by equipping swimming gear like a scuba tank. Digging items are by far the most valuable type we can't afford to waste here. There are only 14 of them in the game, and most of them aren't actually in the game. So if any level requires us to dig, we'll need to use 4 of them and run out quickly. We'll use other items to break dirt whenever we can, but for now, just not doing that is our best solution. Going above things is usually the best option. I tend to avoid things that give infinite height like wings or jetpack, but we can stack a bunch of useless items on each other and jump between them. Since I streamed this part, we didn't spend long on the level and tried summoning aquatic animals that are rideable. I'm not sure if you can go underwater with them. Oh! I just made a manatee sound. Oh, he's going all the way down though. Oh, he just killed someone. Oh man, oh, I can't stop him! Oh my god! Okay, that was not me. That wasn't me. Let the record show that was not me. If later we ever need a summon that we wasted in a previous level, we can go back to it and solve it with different summons. Even though water travel is valuable, there are a bunch of tricks we'll use later to get around it. 1-4 action. There's a button above Maxwell that he needs to press to open the gate the starlight is behind. Instead of flying up there to push something into the button, we'll just summon items with weird shapes to fall into it. It's probably too small, like the shoebox, to get in this easily at least. Oh wait, no, perfect angle! Yo, wait, that was sick. 1-5 action. The starlight is on a hill above Maxwell and stuck under a platform. I usually try to clear levels with as few summons as possible, and I've got some that can solve this level on their own. Summons that hook onto things from a distance and pull them back like fishing rod can pull the box down to give us enough height to jump to the starlight and pull it out of the hole for the win. That's the plan anyway. Now that's thinking with portals. Oh wait! Hold on! Wait, hold on. The biggest strategy in the entire game was just found? What? Oh man. Oh man, I love this game, man. That's why I had to do this challenge! An alternate solution worth mentioning is Tractor Beam pulling the starlight out of the hole, and by continuously moving it with Maxwell's omnipresence, we can keep adjusting it so it falls down to him. 1-6 action. The starlight is, shockingly, behind a gate. The catch with this level is that by pulling the lever way above Maxwell's spawn, another gate closes behind him and blocks the path back to the starlight. In order to get back, Maxwell would need a digging item to open an alternate path back, is what I would say if I was lying. There are a few objects that can flip levers for us. Many electrical objects do just that, but most of them don't for some reason. It's strangely inconsistent. There are also some people who can pull levers, is what I would say if I was lying. There's actually only one person who can. Engineer. Sure, other words like mechanic work too, but look closely at them. You might notice that they're the exact same person. That's why I have another rule, where I can't summon synonyms of words I already use that spawn the same thing. Otherwise, I could use the same object in my no reusing objects challenge. This level already ran me out of people who can flip switches, and I want to save as many electrical objects as possible. So I tried to find an alternate solution without digging or electricity. And in my search, I found one of my favorite solutions in this entire challenge: elevator. While testing out various items, I accidentally discovered elevator's best property. It's treated as a background object, meaning it'll let us fall through the gate. This may look weird, but it's not even a glitch. Some items like trees and sun are treated as background objects, and elevator is too, for some reason. So now all we have to do is find a way up there and back down with a single elevator. I haven't mentioned this yet, but I can't summon multiple copies of the same item on the same attempt of a level. This confused some people, and I think that's because when you're gold starring a level, you actually can summon a million apples if you really wanted to. But after clearing that attempt, you'll be locked out of summoning it for other solutions. I bring this up now because Elevator has another rare property. It can't be rotated with L and R like most other items can when you're holding them with the stylist. If the elevator never rotates, it won't be able to beat the level alone since we can't get up to the lever's platform. We'll just need to get creative. By placing it on the edge of a platform, it will start to fall over. Pick it up while it falls to the left to angle it so we can move it to Maxwell and make it exist again in front of him so it gets stuck on his platform and he rides it up. The way down is going to be tricky since we have to angle it back upright. Keep dropping it and picking it back up on the edge of a platform again to make small adjustments until our ride is ready and clear the level. 1-7 action. The starlight is behind a tornado that blocks the only path. This is the first tricky no summon clear. There's a small opening when the tornado is to the right where we can maybe get whooshed into the top opening to fall in front of it. With a little bit of skill, luck, and also this took like 20 minutes, I finally did just that. Oh hey, hi, it's me from the future. So I was rewatching the video to make sure everything was all good for the final upload, and I noticed I accidentally do the double jump glitch in the successful attempt. So that's how easy it is to do by accident, because I didn't even notice when I did the level. So I tried for a little bit doing the level without the double jump glitch, and no success so far. It's a lot harder, but I think it still might be possible without it. So by the next video, I'll let you know. Anyway, bye, hi, keep watching the video. 1-8 action. The starry is under a wooden platform and attached to a rope. By moving or destroying the wooden platform, the starry will fall into the water and be guarded by barracudas, which will attack Maxwell. If you like no summon clears, then you'll love this. Instead of summoning something to break the platform, we'll simply push it so it falls into the water with the starlight. We can't swim down to the starlight, but since it's attached to some rope, we can pick up the rope before it sinks to pull it to us. Maxwell loves the no summon clears. Use something with the rope? Okay. Alright, wait, we kinda unlocked something major here. So, this is why I chose to believe I was right the whole time. What's he doing? What the heck? One 9 action. Dig or break some ice to open a path to the starlight, but be careful of falling into the void when trying to reach it. Obviously, we'll choose to break the ice. At first I thought we needed fire to melt it, so I wasted some fire items I got back later for levels that actually need valuable and limited fire summons. Instead, use any item that can attack, but not a good weapon that does actual damage, since we'll need those later too. Spoon works just fine here. Then it's a matter of jumping over the bear and doing a tricky jump into the wall to bounce off of it and into the starlight. One 10 action. The starlight is behind a tripwire that by triggering makes it fall into a hole Maxwell would need to dig or swim to get to. So instead of all that noise, why not simply not trigger the tripwire? We can't cut it, but we can cheese it with teleportation. That may sound like it comes from a valuable item, but this is actually something we can do with anything we can ride, like a vehicle or animal. When we press ride, Maxwell will move to the object until he's close enough and teleports to wherever he sits. On a big enough object, this will teleport him to the other side of the tripwire. Of course, I was still using bad vehicles, so this happened. You know what? I think that is funny enough to just keep. What do you guys think? We also use the alternate solution, Tornado, to blow the starlight to Maxwell. Alright. I mean, it worked. Like, I guess we'll use it for now. (111) action. The starry is on a gate Maxwell needs to open with a button so it'll fall down. But it will land on spikes and get destroyed if he doesn't do something to help it. This is a weird level because theoretically any object that can push the button, so most of them, can solve this one by itself. You just need to open the gate in a way that gets the starlight stuck between it and the wall, causing it to bounce left or right. Contrary to popular belief, I don't hate myself enough to do that extremely precise trick 4 times. I do hate myself enough to use an object to push the button, and as soon as the starlight starts falling, move that item above the spike to make the starlight bounce off of it, however. Maxwell's awful controls make this worse, because he can't move while he's not on screen. Be prepared to press his face icon on the top left of the screen to focus it on him again, and quickly move to the starlight. 1-1 puzzle. Puzzle levels are different from action levels because the starlight doesn't start on the map. Instead, it's summoned by fulfilling certain conditions like how we needed to give the chef food before. This one requires Maxwell to summon 2 things that a policeman, chef, firefighter, or doctor holds. Even though this requires 2 summons, it's actually an ideal puzzle level since we can just give them items we'll never need, like a stethoscope. 1-2 puzzle. Oh, I think this one's an easy no objects, if I remember correctly. I think you can just jump up to this and pick it up. Huge puzzle right there. To be fair to this level, I think this doesn't work in the original game with stylus controls, since you can't make Maxwell jump anytime. One 3 puzzle. Maxwell needs to ride something, and that thing needs to make a jump from the hill past the barrier. Interestingly, it needs to be a vehicle that can move on its own. Otherwise, Wagon would have been sick. Oh! Are you telling me that didn't... You're telling me that didn't count? I guess we'll just take bad vehicles like skateboard if we have to. One 4 puzzle. Maxwell needs to summon 3 farm animals for the farmer. This is another easy puzzle level, almost like this is the first world of the game or something. Farm animals are actually pretty good though, since we can ride many of them, so we save better summons by spawning baby versions of farm animals when we could. One 5 puzzle. A man in the desert requires Maxwell to spawn a water item. I originally used Oasis, a summon that just replaces ground with water. Little did I know, we'll actually need all summons of that type. So the funniest solution ended up being Fishbowl. One 6 puzzle. Alright, this one we just need to get the cat down. Here we go. Alright. I was thinking I might need to summon something, but yeah, that was just a perfect jump. That works. One 7 puzzle. Cut the tree down. Just destroying it doesn't work. I tried. The cool solution was summoning a beaver to chop the tree down itself. One 8 puzzle. Get rid of the trash. As tempting as burning the park with a flamethrower is, restrain yourself. For now, we can just pick up the trash and fly to put them in the trash can for an easy no summon clear. One 9 puzzle. Knock down all the bottles without jumping into them. I tried solving this without summons for like 30 minutes, and I'm happy to report that I'm an idiot. So this was another one we were trying to beat without summoning anything. And so I feel pretty dumb, because the solution is pretty easy. So I'm just gonna do it live, because you can't grab, like, the one in the corner, right? But watch this. Yeah. That's all you have to do. That's literally it. Because if you jump, you basically lose a level there. One 10 puzzle. Don't let the ants eat the sandwich for a while. We can just grab the sandwich for an easy no summons clear. One 11 puzzle. Put the 3 flowers on the map into the basket and bring it near the florist. The flowers near the tree and in the water can easily be picked up without summons. The only issue is getting the flower above the water that even the double jump glitch can't reach. But picking up the beehive leads to some interesting results. Here, I'm just gonna do the double jump thing, just to show you guys this. If I can get it. So this is what happens when you pick up the beehive. In case you're wondering what happens when you pick up the beehive, this is what happens. So it's pretty good. We'll need a damage boost from the bee's attack to reach the beehive, which is annoying since the direction we get pushed is random. But it being right at the start for quick resets keeps it from being too annoying. We're going to need access to the water without getting killed by the piranha, so pick it up and quickly drop it on land before it kills you, as we already took damage from the bee. I noticed the piranha had an animation that looked like it was taking damage from being out of water, but after a few minutes it was still alive. So I left for a few more minutes, and when I came back it was dead. Well, I'll be right back. Wait, no way, is it dead? With the water safe, we can now move the tree around and try to find the perfect angle to reach the last flower. Scribblenauts has weird physics when objects are placed diagonally. Most of the time, a diagonal object will just have Maxwell phase through it, preventing it from being used as a platform. We need an angle that lets Maxwell walk on the tree and is high enough to reach the flower, which took a while to find but eventually worked, meaning this level can surprisingly be beaten without any summons. I think I'm the first person to discover this as far as I can tell, and there are a lot more levels that I think I'm the first person to discover can be beaten without summons, so I hope you like finding these weird solutions as much as I do. Two 1 action. The Starry is in a box and under sand. Maxwell needs to dig to get to it. Fortunately for me, the game forgot its own premise again. It placed a shovel in the level. The dog attacks you if you pick it up, but I... pet it until it stopped. Easy, no summon clear. Two action. The Starry is under dirt and has explosives around it that can destroy it if Maxwell isn't careful. There's no shovel already there to save us from using a digging item this time, but that doesn't mean I have to use one. Explosives also remove sand and dirt. They're less valuable than items like shovel since explosives are one-time use, and the radius of the explosion might be too small to even help us beat the level. Some explosive items require fire to explode, but all the ones I summon here can be detonated by Maxwell. We need to push the box that's stuck down the pit we're exploding since it will trigger the other explosives and destroy the Starlight. Pushing the left box all the way to the left consistently worked. We can even use it as a platform to reach the Starlight. Two 3 action. There are two paths to the Starlight. The direct path will have the gate close if Maxwell gets too close to it. The upper path will require summoning items to reach it and breaking items on the way down to sneak behind the Starlight. Both paths have cops who want to kill this child. The two paths appear to require summons, but while testing things out, I found a weird interaction. Oh, wait, hold on. When he killed me, that shot me forward. If he kills me and I pick up the Starlight at the same time, that could actually work. Dang it. He really just kills Maxwell, huh? Hold on, hold on. Let's go! That actually works! Dude, no way that works! Oh man, what the heck? I love this game. It's a good game. Two 4 action. The Starlight spawns near Maxwell, but he needs to flip a lever to open the gate it's behind that's guarded by bombs. We have the option to use electrical items again, but I decided to use flying items instead. Even though they're valuable as well, there are many more of them than electrical items that flip levers. We use flying items that can fit under these gears and that don't have passenger seats, as there are levels where we'll want NPCs to ride with us. We'll need to be extra careful of bombs, since we can't just summon another copy of an object they destroy, but it's still a quick and easy level. Two 5 action. The gate won't open until Maxwell summons a vehicle. We'll choose to summon vehicles that don't have motors like a wagon, since those require other summons to be useful. We can either use the vehicles as a platform to reach a Starlight, or get good and make the jump to grab it. Two 6 action. The Starlight is behind gates that multiple levers in the level interact with. We'll avoid electricity again and use bouncy summons instead. These are pretty limited, but bounce us high enough in levels where flying items would be overkill. Normally, pulling the bottom lever would open the path to the starlight, but lock you in and force you to fly around the other way to reach it. But I'm dumb. Can't be that one because... Hold on. Unless I game. Gotta like leave as soon as you can with that. Oh, it's easy. Easy game. The game is too easy for me. They should make it harder. Okay, wait, no! Yeah, this time I used him to my advantage. How about that? Two-7 action. Enemies, that's actually what these people are called, will attack Maxwell if he gets near where they're defending the starlight that's attached to the rope above. If we can steal one of their guns, we can use it to break the rope without summons. We need to get lucky at the start and have the enemy with the bazooka not die when they shoot the tank. That allows you to get past them with another lucky jump, bait the next shot into the enemy with a gun that also kills the one with the bazooka, and use 2 of the 3 gun shots on the enemy with the sword to kill them. Yeah, for some reason guns have infinite ammo when anybody else uses them, but when Maxwell uses them, they only have 3 bullets at most, and some only have 1. With all these precise steps done, we'll have 1 shot at the rope to make the starlight fall down to us. Two-8 action. Welcome to hell. I'm not going to bother explaining what you're supposed to do because we don't do that. To save a fire summon plus a flying or digging summon, I'll be doing the worst thing I've ever thought of. Some objects can move the starlight, like Fan Tool or Tornado, but actually most objects can move the starlight, just really slowly. That's right, you can nudge the starlight with almost anything. Thankfully for my sanity, this isn't helpful for most action levels since you can't nudge the starlight through a gate. But if it prevents me from using a valuable summon, then I've got no excuse not to spend 30 minutes moving the starlight pixels to the left every once in a while. Yup, it's not even consistent. Most of the time, dropping an item on the starlight just results in the item falling off the starlight and the starlight not moving at all. Different items with their different shapes and collisions make every single nudge different from another one, so this is actually the worst thing ever. I consider knowing this is possible an info hazard, but only for people doing this exact challenge. Yes, it's possible! Oh no, it's possible. The first time I did this was with a sword, since to reach the location where the starlight drops after nudging it, we need to break the cracked wooden platform. Then an alligator will attack us. And in case you were wondering, yes, swords can destroy the starlight if you nudge it wrong. Wait, did it take damage from the handle? Is it... So it can... It just takes damage every time it's hit by anything? What? But I realized after beating this with a sword that we can save weapon summons by placing any holdable object in the construction worker's hand so they drop their drill, which can break the wooden platform. Instead of fighting the alligator, we can lure it all the way to the left and jump over it. By getting far enough away, it won't follow us anymore. Then just remove what we gave the construction worker and start nudging the starlight. I still hate this level, but at least that was kinda cool. Two-9 action. Maxwell needs to gain height and get through the large ice layers. From there, he can choose to either get through fire with water or pressing buttons to turn the fire off, or digging. You'll never guess which one we pick. The buttons are both in an awkward spot to hit, especially the button on the ceiling, which would usually get pressed by jumping down there and having Maxwell hit it, or by using an item to blow something into it. But I'm about to blow something else. Your mind. Flying animals can hit these buttons, which is especially good with non-rideable animals. Having them do so is a little finicky, but anything that moves around in this game while not being influenced by something else always moves left twice, then right twice, which is done to tether them to the area they're supposed to be. So we can move the bird in a way that it will always attempt to hit the button. To get up to the fires, we'll be using buildings, which are useful for gaining a lot of height in combination with another item to get on top of them. Vehicles and rideable animals are also great for gaining height thanks to teleporting into them. Although needing to be close to them for the teleport to happen makes it awkward at times, and we usually need vehicles to start falling for the angle to reach them to be right. However, the golf cart has Maxwell enter it low enough that for that solution, I didn't need a weapon to break the ice and could teleport through it instead. This doesn't work with other vehicles I tried this with, but we don't need a good weapon to break the ice. We'll do another small teleport to reach the fires. Weirdly, the bottom button turns off the middle fire permanently, while the other button only turns the other two fires off when pressed. So we'll hit the bottom one with the bird first, and then move it to the other button to get through. One last small teleport will get us to the starlight. .210 action. The starlight is attached to a truck near a gas station that Maxwell can reach by detonating the explosives under it, but the starlight will be destroyed if he doesn't move it. We can summon a person into the car who will drive away since they're scared of the mutant, give them something to really be scared about, then we just need to summon something else for height, ideally something bad like Lighthouse to reach the starlight. .211 action. They're all gonna try to kill us because of course Maxwell naturally is in prison for his crimes against humanity. However, they accidentally put him in the prison cell with the lever to open the door. Maxwell is in a prison cell. By opening the gate, he'll get attacked by the other prisoners, and by opening the other gate, he'll get attacked by the police. We use monsters to kill everyone else on the map, in self-defense. Preemptively. Most summons wouldn't be able to fight so many people before dying, but there's a trick we can do to give them the advantage. We just pick them up to avoid attacks and make them exist again after dodging. We can safely pull all the levers now and use another summon to give us extra height needed to reach the starlight. .2-1 puzzle. Break the piñata. The objective doesn't say we can't ruin the kid's birthday party, so just throw his gift at it until it breaks, along with his new video game. .2-2 puzzle. Give the kids candy or scare them. I think this one's also no objects, because I tested this one out, and it's like they're like, hey, trick or treat, and then you can just be like, trick. And there you go. .2-3 puzzle. Summon something the teacher wants in their classroom. Another puzzle level, we can summon typically useless things like a student. Sorry if you're a student, I guess. .2-4 puzzle. Help the patient see. We can use bad objects again, which is especially true with cosmetic items like glasses. .2-5 puzzle. Dress the mannequin with 3 clothing items. Admittedly, my own description of the objective is a little misleading, because there's a pretty consistent trick you can do in puzzle levels that checks for a certain condition to be met multiple times. Like how putting a hat, shirt, and pants would count as meeting the 3 clothing item requirement. Alright, can't be the order. Oh, it's stupid. The level's dumb. It's just you put that much things on it? Okay, hold on, the level's dumb. By putting a spacesuit on once, that counts as 1 clothing item. But by taking it off and putting it back on, that adds another clothing item to the check without getting rid of the first check. This lets us put the same item on 3 times to beat the level with 1 summon. 2-6 puzzle. Put a ball in the goal. No cool tricks here, just balls and cheating at whatever sport uses a volleyball and soccer net. 2-7 puzzle. Clean 2 things. You're supposed to clean up the spill and banana peel, but we can do the same trick as before by putting the banana peel into the vending machine twice to clear the level without a summon that can clean the spill. 2-8 puzzle. Put a fruit, a vegetable, and a beverage found in the level inside a container and pay for them. Paying for them is easy because Maxwell can literally print money, but also there's a coin in the cash register that counts as paying. As for containers, they're actually a pretty valuable item type, but most of them have no special property to meaningfully differentiate them from another, so we just summon some normal containers to beat this one. 2-9 puzzle. Wake up the boy and feed the girl. Most foods don't wake the boy up by throwing them at him, but if it's large enough or spiky enough, it will. Then we can give the girl the food we just threw at her brother. 2-10 puzzle. Give the chef a hot meal, something to drink, and a sweet treat. Turning on the oven counts as a hot meal for some reason, so I wanted to find an item that would count as both a drink and a sweet treat. Hot chocolate doesn't count as a sweet treat because, along with most other things, that should work. Milkshakes count as both. My favorite solution is summoning chocolate as a sweet treat and cooking it on the oven to become hot chocolate, which does actually count. 2-11 puzzle. Kill all the rats, but don't hurt the dog. Easy enough, I'd never do that. We can get rid of all the rats on the bottom by putting them in the oven, but the rat above us requires a summon. We can use some relatively specific ones like Exterminator to kill it. 3-1 action. Break the ice block and lair to reach the water that the starite is encased in ice under. The ground is stopping Maxwell from just surface swimming to the starite, but there's a trick we can do here. When you jump into the water or get pushed down by something, you have a small window of time to move before floating back up. This allows us to swim under the ground, and we can reach the starite without surfacing since the ground is blocking Maxwell. Just make sure to break the starite out in a spot you can immediately grab it before it sinks. 3-2 action. The starite is attached to a rope that will fall into the lava if Maxwell triggers the tripwire blocking the only path. Yeah, you kinda just walk forward, that's it. The no summon screen was loved or hated by commenters. As a compromise, I'm going to shorten it and add a new dancer for every 5 levels beaten without summons. From the first 2 worlds and the level just complete, that's 16 no summon clears so far. So, here's 3 new dancers on the house. (3-3) action. Dig or break ice spikes to reach a trap that will blow up the starite if triggered. We use a summon to break the ice spikes. The trap can be disarmed to the extent that the boulder won't trigger it by destroying the pieces carefully, but the exploding barrel will remain. Yeah. Maxwell's immune to explosions only sometimes. This one he feels like it. I picked up the starite and that's why I didn't die. 3-4 action. The lever that opens the gate to the starite also causes large spiked steel balls to float, blocking the way to a platform Maxwell can't get to without summons. Man, lying on the internet is so easy. What if I told you we secretly can beat this level without summons? What would you do in that scenario? Spike balls are spiky, so touching them damages you. I know, big surprise. However, if we slowly move into them, we can push them without taking damage, which is great because they kill Maxwell in just 2 hits. That's neat and all, but how does this help us? Well, it lets Maxwell push the first spiked ball to the next platform, then go back and turn the air vents off so the spiked balls fall to the ground. By turning the fans back on and running where the spiked ball is about to be, we can use it as a platform to jump to the middle with only 1 instance of damage. To be frank, this usually doesn't work, and we'll need to get another lucky jump. Air vents are also pushing down from above Maxwell, so we'll need a perfectly arced jump to make it to the Starlight. But after a bunch of attempts, I finally did it. As this was another unexpected no summon clear, I just want to thank everyone for guessing how many levels I'd beat summonless in the first video. Feel free to change your guess. And as another engagement question, what's your go-to summon? Mine is Jetpack, as I said in the first video, since Flight is just overpowered. "3-5 action. The Starlight is behind 2 gates. If Maxwell flips the lever on the left, it opens the gate to the right. If Maxwell flips the lever to the right, it opens the gate to the left. A hill blocks him from simply moving from one side to the other. Inside the gates are 2 red caps that will attack Maxwell. More importantly, a giant steel box is above the Starlight and is immune to most typical means of destroying things. My favorite solution is Black Hole. This pulls basically everything into it and destroys those things, then quickly disappears. We can use it to pull Maxwell up after flipping a lever to get to the other side. Pick it up before it despawns and use it to destroy the giant steel box. 3-6 action. Pull a lever to prevent the Starlight from getting trapped below a gate that a tripwire triggers when it falls. It's attached to rope and an ice block that will fall by destroying the ice block that prevents Maxwell from reaching the Starlight. The lever is out of reach, but by dropping the item we used to destroy the ice block onto the tripwire before the Starlight falls, it'll get closed in on the same side as Maxwell. 3-7 action. The Starlight is way up there, and Maxwell is way down there. It is with great pain I inform you that this is a nudging level. 3-8 action. 2 large boulders block 2 paths. A digging path to the Starlight or lava blocking a button. If Maxwell presses the button with an item while on the safe side, the gate opens to reveal the Starlight, but prevents him from reaching it. Large boulders are immune to most damage, so this is the perfect level to use blowing items. Don't get too attached to these, there aren't many of them. We can use the fan to blow the boulder to the left, and at an angle we can jump over it. We can also use it as a small platform to get to the other side of the level. Something needs to be done about the lava pit in our way. But first, we pull an elemental away from the lava so we can stand there without it attacking us. Before using another item, there was a small glitch I wanted to try. Alright guys, I need you to believe in the heart of the cards. So you see that? It actually worked. I didn't think that would actually work. So what happened there, since that wasn't on screen, I should probably explain what I think happened at least. Like, when the gates, when the gate went back up, it pulled Maxwell up with it and shot him out of the gate, so it put me in the Starlight. 3-9 action. A gate slowly opens after an oil lamp spawns a random creature to attack Maxwell. Sometimes it's a kitten, so it's an easy no summon clear. 3-10 action. Many enemies and hazards are encased in ice that block the path to the Starite. The best path we can take without strong height gain items is straight, which forces us to fight a bat and a warrior. This makes it the first level a good weapon actually helps us with. Though even good weapons aren't that good, and Maxwell doesn't recover health over time. So after fighting the bat and breaking a path to the warrior, we usually summon a creature that's not strong but will distract the warrior while we attack him. Then, by detonating the mine, any small height gain item will give us enough height to get on top of the ice block and use it again to reach the Starite. .311 Action. An incredibly strange level where walking into the gates blocking the Starite teleports Maxwell across the map, where he needs to deal with enemies that will attack him and prevent him from pulling levers with sheer damage or just knocking him away from pulling them. There are also some obstacles blocking the path like an ice block and fire. Electricity is tempting, especially a cloud that also extinguishes fire, but we need all our electricity summons later. This is the perfect level to use people who spawn with weapons. I haven't addressed this yet, but some things summon other things or spawn with other items. I count these as unique objects since spawning is a different property, and by putting two separate sprites together, they are a different sprite. So even though we already use Spear, we can summon Warrior, who spawns holding a spear. Here, it lets the friend attack some enemies that alone wouldn't kill Maxwell, but the damage from multiple enemies would. We make the sacrifice fight the Sultan and die fighting the powerful Behemoth. We can pick up their dropped weapon even with Maxwell's god powers to give it to him. This is important because we first teleport to the Sultan, and even though they drop their weapon on death, it doesn't teleport with Maxwell despite him holding it. We need a weapon to break the ice block, but anything we summon won't attack it unprovoked. And ice doesn't do a great job at provoking. This is why we need our friend to die. Otherwise, they refuse to drop their weapon. We need to use a summon to get past the fire, and water items are pretty valuable, so we'll use vehicle teleporting again. This is a little tough since we need to teleport not directly into the middle of the fire or we'll die. But the large number of vehicles is better to use, so I'll happily take that risk on Maxwell's behalf. Use the weapon to break the wood. Depending on the weapon, you might have to drop it before falling down to the lever, since teleporting will cause some to break to the spikes from being dropped. Just make sure to catch the item midair, which isn't too bad since you can hold your stylus down instead of tapping to catch things. The Behemoth is too powerful for most weapons to deal with, at least consistently, so just summon a useless person like one of the developers or something to distract it. Lastly, a dragon blocks the final lever. Some weapons can damage it by falling onto specific spots, but others can't as far as I can tell. In that case, one more sacrifice is in order. Karma will catch up to Maxwell if he doesn't pull that lever quickly though. That finally opens every gate to the Starite as a pacifist. I mean without reusing objects. .311 Puzzle. Give something to Santa that he likes but doesn't already have here. Another easy puzzle level to use bad summons like Elf. .32 Puzzle. Power the car and bring it to the house. This is an interesting level. We have the option to use a valuable rope-like object instead of an electrical one, but hold your horses there. Calm down. I already mentioned that it's extremely inconsistent with what electric objects flip switches. One of the things that confuses me the most is that some electric objects like shock don't, despite very clearly being electricity. The weirder thing is summons like that actually fix the car. So we can use summons that are just electrical enough to fix the car, but not too electrical to flip switches. .33 Puzzle. Feed the penguin the 3 smallest fish already in the level. Believe me, I tried summoning copies of them to feed it. Instead of using a bunch of swimming items, we chose to use food, since it lures the fish towards it and we're not going to run out of food summons. The only issue is we need to constantly pick it up with god powers and put it back down so it doesn't get eaten, but it works just fine. "3-4 puzzle. Scare all 3 kids. Most things that can be thrown work here, so it's not hard to terrorize these children. 3-5 puzzle. Bring the lamb back to the flock without using guns or bombs. The only reason you'd want to use those is for the wolf, but we can bait it into the water. Now we need the lamb to follow us or run away from us, and to make a platform for it to cross over the water. Most bridges in this game are very bad at their one job, so we were using boats instead. They were low enough for the wolf to attack us, so I pet him with them before using them. Then we just use a summon to lure the lamb or scare it away from us to complete the level. "3-6 puzzle. Warm the caveman and feed the omelet from the top egg on the map to him. Yes, unfortunately, the omelet only drops from the egg on the top and not the bottom left one. That makes this a nudging level that we also use bad fire summons on. Arsonist spawns with a match and attempts to eat the omelet. We can pick him up to force him to drop it and get a lucky bounce to have it fall down and complete the level with just them. 3-7 puzzle. Maxwell needs to get the cow out of the way of the cars so they can move, but he can't kill the cow or let the chef kill her. The chef has a butcher knife we can trade with a holdable summon. This lets us scare the cow so she runs away from us. Even without the knife, the cow will automatically run away from the chef, so we can't bring her that way. Instead, by making her run to the truck, she'll somehow be able to run under it. She'll get stuck by herself, so we'll also run under the truck to sandwich the cow between the car and the truck. The truck usually moves on its own without the cow in the way, but it got stuck on the cow, so we had to push all the cars with Maxwell's infinite strength to beat the level. However, I realized we could do even better. Cows make milk when you interact with them. We can pick it up and throw it at the cow to scare her without needing to give the chef a summon. 3-8 puzzle. Stop the boat from hitting the iceberg. The only other thing I can think of is like moving the iceberg out of the way. So Maxwell can like push icebergs kinda. But we're too slow for that. Oh. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, yeah. So we take those. I don't know. "3-9 puzzle. Reunite the penguins, but don't hurt the whale." Fun fact, this is the first description of a level that I copied from the game, because it actually tells you exactly what you need to do. Most of them are vague or intentionally not helpful. The penguin we need to move is on a glacier that we can get Maxwell under by swimming into it. The penguin will fall off, resulting in a loss if we keep moving the glacier forward, so we need to jump into it to bounce the penguin up and keep them on while we move the glacier. So at least it's quick to a few attempts. It's just knowing when to do that. You're home. Go. Alright, nice. Another easy. Not super easy, but not super hard. No object level. Let's go. "3-10 puzzle. Bring the oil lamp near the Sultan. Grabbing the lamp will cause the bridge we cross to disappear, and trying to jump across it will have air vents blow Maxwell down into the lava. He also needs something to get him down the platform with the lamp, since another air vent will trap him between two stalagmites. But my no summon senses are tingling. Pick up the oil lamp and do a perfect jump into the first stalagmite to push Maxwell down a little. The air vent will push him up again, but he'll have just enough room to hit the bottom of the second stalagmite, allowing him to fall to the ground. A double jump would have done the trick, but I've got a better one. The oil lamp has a genie inside it who will attack us if we pick it up. Drop it a safe distance near the lava so we can pick it up no matter where it falls, and once it's in the right spot, empty it, pick it up, and jump. The damage boost makes a jump strong enough to get to the other side safely. .311 Puzzle. Bring the patient near the hospital on the top of the mountain. This is a fine level to use flying vehicles that have passenger seats to put the patient in the back and drive it with Maxwell to easily bring them to the hospital. But I need to save the rest of those vehicles for later. So it's time for some janky solutions. The jankiest of which was the tail sitter, a vertical vehicle without a passenger seat. Oh well, the patient can stand on the wings. If anything happens, they're going to the hospital anyway. For some reason, the patient kept walking off of the safety of the tail sitter. Oh, they are scared. Probably of me though. We need to get the goat and polar bear out of the way so we can land without them interfering and keep making progress to the hospital. We ride the goat down first so we can bait the polar bear down, but on one run, something magical happened. They all got stuck on each other. They all got stuck. The goat helped, actually. The jank didn't stop there. You're fine, you're fine! Why are you afraid of me? Is it because of the murder? There we go, boys! Let's go! .4-1 Action. 2 buttons on the ceiling open the gate to the starlight above Maxwell. This is just a bird plus nudging level. .4-2 Action. Maxwell needs to get past multiple samurai, open a gate by getting a box off of a button, and put something back on the button to open the starlight gate. There's a wall we just can't make it over no matter what angle I try to jump at it from. The good news is the rest of the level would have been really annoying to beat without summons, since we need to get the box back on the button while the samurai tries to kill us, and then have enough health to get past 2 samurais guarding the starlight. I mean, I did it for footage anyway. Instead, we'll just use whatever we summoned for a little height to push the button, and try to get knocked through the leftmost samurai to grab the starlight. .4-3 Action. Press buttons to open the gates. Some give you a path to cross the lava. The gray and red gates need to be opened to get the starlight on the other side. The green one stays on after the bird touches it once, so press it first. The gray one will only be open while the bird is touching the button, so put the bird next to the button and center the screen on Maxwell to get ready to jump. We need to make it up multiple high platforms to progress. I chose to use a vehicle plus a building again. After opening the red gate, place the building in the lava to use it as a platform before it gets destroyed to jump to the starlight. Most buildings don't work here due to being too small or like catching on fire, causing Maxwell to be knocked away from them. .4-4 Action. Press the green button and dig to the starlight, or press the red button and go up a long gap to reach where it fell. I didn't do every level in a row to see where certain summons would be most useful, and by the time I came back to this level, I used literally every summon in the game that flies or gives Maxwell flight. This gap would take a bunch of items stacked on top of each other to reach. But I've got a better idea. We can place a big enough straight platform diagonally for the starlight to roll off of. Most platforms aren't the right size for just a slide to work, but Large Ice Layer can do this by itself. Other solutions required getting the slime out of the way with willing sacrifices and nudging the starlight just a bit thankfully, so it wouldn't just fall into the hole. The nudging items were usually needed again to get the starlight all the way down. For 5 action. Dig to the starlight or go straight to it with a tripwire directly in the path, causing 2 spiked balls to fall, blocking Maxwell from the starlight. We can get in front of the first spiked ball easily, and push the second one without taking damage again by slowly walking into it. Unfortunately, the ceiling above us blocks Maxwell from just jumping to grab the starlight, and we don't get enough of a damage boost from the lava to reach it either. But the spiked ball slowly falling from the platform can cause it to bounce off the ground. A lucky bounce will make it break the rope. We can grab it before it's destroyed for a no summon clear. For 6 action. Walking toward the starlight gate causes a giant crab to spawn and kill the samurais. The gate won't open until the crab dies. This crab has been alive for a few seconds, so it's extremely powerful. But we can just pick up a samurai's drop sword to kill it without summons. For 7 action. Break the bridge and dig to the starlight, or deal with a gulper and swim to it with stalagmites blocking the path. The stalagmites require a weapon to cross, so we'll use the same weapon on the gulper. This gives us time to get Maxwell low enough from a jump to swim underground and break the stalagmites to grab the starlight. For 8 action. Dig and swim to the starlight behind fire, or get to a high platform and fight shamans to drop to the fire. We're going up with a height item and vehicle teleport. We can bait the shamans back down for the archaeologists to shoot them with their infinite ammo. After going back up, we reach the fire. We can't jump over it, but we can save a water summon here. Fire and campfire can both be destroyed by taking enough damage. So we give the archaeologists something to hold to steal the gun. The monkeys will rudely steal the gun that I stole fair and square, so the item I give the archaeologist is also something they'll try to steal to lure them away from the campfire. This allows us to grab the starlight. For 9 action. The starlight is behind a gate that a lever above Maxwell opens. When it's pulled, a spiked crusher will quickly fall down onto the starlight. You're supposed to reach it in time by digging a shortcut or using an electrical item to flip the switch so Maxwell can just walk to it. By the time I came back to this level, I was out of electrical objects, so I wanted to find a different solution. There are a few summons that can help us bypass gates. Freeze Ray is funny, but I already used it. This specific gate allows us to cheese it with structures that can only be placed in the ground and replace it. Structures like Pit are big enough for Maxwell to go under the gate, but need another item to give him enough height to grab the starlight. Tide Pool is too small for that, so we'll need to nudge the starlight to him. Or not. For 10 action. Maxwell races a leprechaun to the starlight. The leprechaun is faster, has a shorter path to the starlight, and even cheats by teleporting, so they'll reach it first without a summon, resulting in a loss. That didn't stop me from trying summonless though. The most promising strategy involved picking up the rock on the ground while running. We can't throw it whenever we want, we need to target something. By throwing it at a tree, it can fall down onto the leprechaun or starlight. But I could never get it to meaningfully impact anything. Even if we could somehow directly hit the leprechaun with the rock, it barely knocks them back. I was messing around with what I thought at the time were bad objects to try and trap the leprechaun in water structures, but to my surprise, this happened. Oh, he fell at him. Wait, why is he got... Alright, I mean that's one way to win a race, I guess. Just kill your opponent and then they probably can't run that far if they're dead. (411) Action. The direct path to the Starlight triggers a tripwire that causes large boulders to block the path. Going around the long path won't trigger the tripwire, but will require summoning something that Maxwell can fly with. Large boulders can't be destroyed with the spiked balls, but there's potential for a solution without summoning if we can line everything up perfectly. The issue is that if any of the large boulders fall to the bottom right, we can never reach the Starlight in that area. Our only way to manipulate their falling positions before they reach the ground and block the path is with the spiked ball. A perfectly timed jump will give it just enough speed and distance to wedge itself between the top boulder and bottom one, with enough room for Maxwell to fit between them. He can't get to the ground without manipulating the top boulder's position some more. He needs to move and jump to rotate it to the perfect shape so it moves enough to let him walk down with the spiked ball. Now the issue is that Maxwell needs to get past the spiked ball, but the ceiling prevents him from jumping over it without dying since he took damage from the initial jump into it. Remember how we can slowly walk into them? Well, we can make micro adjustments to walk on top of it for a while, but he will always slide back down to the left due to its shape. So instead, we need to set up a trick so precise I needed a save state for this to be realistically possible, especially considering the beginning of the level is so precise too. Push the spike ball near the throne. It needs to be in a perfect spot, far enough away not to break the throne and fail the level, but close enough to fall onto the Starlight. Keep jumping and slowly walking towards the Starlight. Eventually you'll die, but as long as you do so on the right side of the spiked ball, you'll fall onto the Starlight. (4-1) Puzzle. Reunite the ugly duckling with the swans, but don't harm the cat. Thanks level, but I'd rather reunite the swans with the ugly duckling so I don't need to summon to gain height or bait it down. The cat wants to eat them, but things in your hand can't be eaten or eat, so it's no issue. (4-2) Puzzle. Color and art. We need to summon something the game considers art, like a painting, and summon something to color it. This even includes a pencil for an easy clear with bad summons. 4-3 Puzzle. Get the unicorn and druid near each other. We simply lure the unicorn down the hill with food since we can't control it while riding it. 4-4 Puzzle. Break all the valuables. The Starlight spawns once the final valuable is broken and in a spot Maxwell can stand under. These two conditions make it the perfect level to use a freaking nuke, oh my god! Nuke and other similar summons destroy everything on screen, including Maxwell in that everything. So they are only useful in a level that Maxwell can grab the Starlight before it ends due to his death. That is to say, pretty much just this one, use them all here. 4-5 Puzzle. Get the baby close to the king or queen. I use containers to carry the baby and get it over the small jump. Although I realized while scripting this, it would have been better to just attack the king or queen to make them run to the baby, which counts as a win once they're close. Still use containers though. 4-6 Puzzle. Put the corpse in an appropriate container and put it deep enough in the ground. Just containing the corpse isn't enough. It has to be put in the dirt after making a deep hole. Fortunately, we can use explosives as long as the radius is big enough, and only specific containers work. We don't need them anywhere else, so it's no issue. "4-7 puzzle. Move the chariot all the way up the hill." Oh baby. You guys like Sisyphus? Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Uh-oh. After ramming my head into a wall, or rather chariot, for 20 minutes, I realized the best way to move it uphill was while it was upside down. So I brought the knight from the top of the hill down with me, since he'll follow me whenever I'm close to him. Bring him behind the chariot and start pushing it uphill. Once high enough up, jump over the chariot and push it over the knight so it falls over. We don't want him to attack the chariot, as he loves to do. It's his favorite thing actually, so bring him back to the top of the hill before pushing the chariot again. We can't push it from the back without dying to its javelin, so ride the chariot and dismount it to get behind the wheel. Now we can keep pushing and jumping into the wheel to push it up the hill, no matter how steep it gets. Chat, how are we feeling about this? That? Oh my god. Why didn't Sisyphus just do that? Is he stupid? "4-8 puzzle. Kill the 2 orcs and free the wizard from the cage. If the wizard dies, you lose. There's lava under the cage, which the wizard will fall into if we free them. For now, it helps us kill the orcs by luring them into it. We can potentially save needing another summon by shaking the cage when freeing the wizard. But even if we free them like this, the starlight spawns on top of the platform we can't reach anymore. So of course I was looking for a potential no-summon solution. First, run into the orc and jump to damage boost all the way to the top of the cage. Jump while on the left corner of the cage and pick up the chain from the top. While falling, hold left to land back on the starting platform. Drop the cage so that it's a diagonal platform and jump from it to the other side of the lava with the second orc. After waking them up, we'll need an even more precise jump into a damage boost to get us back on top of the cage, and the orc will fall into the lava. I pull the cage up with me to safely free the wizard and grab the starlight. "4-9 puzzle. Get the knight and princess close to each other, but don't kill the witch. The knight can kill the behemoth by himself to open the path. But I was out of rope and flying summons to bring the knight or princess above the witch without her turning them into frogs and failing the level. I can bait the witch with food, but the princess is anchored to the tower, so she'll only move for more important things like a frog, which the witch loves to eat. That's her thing, she turns people into frogs, then she eats them. Some food, like apple, will lure the princess too. Give the apple to Maxwell once the witch falls down, so he can lure her without the threat of her eating it, and bring her close to the knight, but not too close where they fight. Now we can lure the princess down with the apple too. We still need to get the knight and princess near each other, but I've got a foolproof plan. Maxwell is immune to turning into a frog. Just one of his casual superpowers, put it on the list. So by standing between the witch and princess, he can slowly walk up to the knight. Be sure to grab the starlight quickly because everyone will die. But hey, cool starlight. Quick, show the list of summons I used. "4-10 puzzle. Kill the enemies before they kill the royal family. We use creatures to solve this one. Same trick as before to give ours the advantage. "411 Puzzle. Get the king near the castle. He's trapped behind a gate that a dragon guards a switch to open. But before deciding on what to summon, let's look at every problem we have to solve. There are 2 campfires blocking the king's path he'll kind of just keep running into until death, requiring us to deal with them. The bridge to the castle is broken, so we'll need something that gets him to the castle, or interestingly, the king being under the castle spawns the Starite 2 for another potential solution. The Starite spawn is unfortunately all the way up near the castle, far enough for Maxwell to be unable to reach it without a summon. Most structures get destroyed after being in lava for a short amount of time. But for some reason, building does not, and is long enough to help us solve 2 of our 4 problems. We can jump on it after rotating it to lure the dragon into the lava and kill it. We can now flip the switch, but we need to deal with the campfires first. In the solution, I use Faucet, which is also a surprise tool that will help us later. After it puts the fires out, the king will move towards the castle. Without a bridge, he'll fall onto the building and spawn the Starite due to being close enough to the castle. Now we need to nudge the Starite, because of course we do, to beat the level. Alternate solutions are worth noting here, since all the structures I tested either weren't long enough or got destroyed by lava. As long as the structure doesn't catch on fire and is medium-sized, I could jump on it to lure the dragon over and quickly jump back and pick it up. After the dragon dies, put it back down to jump on it and to the other side of the lava. Pick it back up quickly again, and after using our water summon, use a new object type, glue. Since bridges are terrible in this game, and I use all the slightly less terrible ones in other level. I say level because there's only like 4 of them. Glue is basically rope but worse, since it sticks 2 objects together, but they can't move far from each other, and the hitboxes of items can make 2 items incompatible from being glued together. It's perfect here since we want the items close together so they can be used as a bridge for the king to safely get across. We'll be nudging again, but scary since we can potentially lose after a 5-minute nudge. As soon as the Starite falls down, jump into it to grab it. Even if it falls into the lava, the Starite and Maxwell have enough health to give us time to get to it. "1-7 Action. Again. I wanted to beat this level without an accidental double jump, and it's much tougher. The tornado won't push Maxwell up as quickly without jumping into it at the double jump's height. And after a while, it seemed like the tornado moves back to the left too fast for this to work. But I noticed something strange. When letting go of holding right and continuing to hold the jump button, Maxwell gets shot up the tornado extremely quickly. Don't worry, this isn't secretly a double jump, since those can only be performed by letting go of a direction and jump, and then pressing jump again. It's much more precise than what I was doing before, but it's just barely possible to perfectly time a jump into the tornado and get bonked into the upper right gap to beat this one without breaking my own rules. I love how even after already recording the rest of this challenge, I'm still learning new things about this game. "5-1 Action. The Starite is attached to a boat, moving away from Maxwell. Upon it reaching the other side, you lose. Even though it would seem that all I can do is jump, the Starite is tantalizingly close. Oh, he's getting there. Wait, what? Did he move faster because I wasn't looking? Because that seemed like... What? I don't... Did he move faster when I wasn't looking? "5-2 Action. Gates block Maxwell's path, and levers underwater open them. Look out for the Kraken. We can open the first gate underwater with a swimming item. The Kraken will kill us before we can reach the second lever, so bait it back to the start and take the now open path above and around it. The air vent in front of the lever tries its best to stop us from flipping it, but we still can without another summon for an easy clear. "5-3 Action. The Starry is attached to balloons and will explode from the TNT above it if Maxwell opens the gates with the button guarded by a piranha. We can avoid using a swimming item if we use something that can float, and we can save all other items by using that one as a platform. Most buoyant items can't reach the ground, but we can use the piranha as a small platform, move the item in front of the fire to jump over it, and finally use the item to push the button and fall into the starlight before the TNT reaches it. "5-4 Action. Get the diver stuck underwater in a cage back to her ship. This opens the gate to the starlight. Wait, why isn't this a puzzle level? We need to get underwater, but also deal with the lionfish and bullhead shark. We can't just use a regular swimming item to clear this by itself, and we'll need to save the rest for later. So it's time to use a new swimming method: drowning. Most land vehicles sink while in the water, and Maxwell can ride them down as a swimming alternative. Here, we can even use the car to push the two enemies into each other so the shark kills the fish. Then we can nudge the shark away so it doesn't kill us on our ride down. We nudge the cage as far to the right as it could go and make sure to sink in that area. The shark will still attack the diver, but we can trap it under the car so she can swim to safety and we can grab the starlight. "5-5 Action. The starlight is at the bottom right of an underwater area. Merlions will try to kill Maxwell on his way to it. We need a summon that can actually move sideways this time, so we can't just drown. But I ran out of things that freely let me ride them underwater in later levels. So it's time to take advantage of a weird mechanic. Aggressive creatures don't normally let you ride them, but if you feed them 3 times, they'll fall asleep just like anything else that eats 3 things in this game. Interestingly, when an aggressive creature wakes up, they will no longer be hostile and you'll gain the ability to ride them. They only become hostile again and knock you off of them after getting attacked. We need to sneak past the lionfish or have the summon kill them before feeding it for that reason. As for food, there are enough unique fish in this game that we shouldn't run out. Especially since most levels we use this trick on are ones that have fish already in the level. This particular level has 2 barracudas, meaning we only need to summon a single fish to feed the animals we ride for each solution. "5-6 Action. Match the 3 objects on balloons with the same object in the water to open the underwater gate to the starlight. Wait, why isn't this a puzzle level? Each object we need to match is connected with 2 balloons. Unfortunately for me, each balloon can technically be picked up without a summon using enough shenanigans. Although, we will summon a fish to bait the gulper away from the balloons. The clam is the easiest to take the balloons from since it can be held by Maxwell. And while he's doing so, we can jump and grab the balloons. The sea urchin and starfish are where things get annoying. They can't be held, so we need them to be directly above their match when we take their balloons off, but that means they're too far away from the shore to just jump to. Instead, drop a summon on top of the sea urchin to bring it down just low enough to grab the second balloon. The starfish doesn't fall as far because of course it doesn't, but that's why I saved it for last. With 4 balloons, we can use them to pull the starfish down and barely grab a balloon. The good news is you only need 1 from the starfish for it to sink. Then we use a swimming item that Maxwell can wear since the gap to the starry is too narrow for most things you can ride to fit. "5-7 Action. Welcome to hell. Good to see you back. The starry is not only underwater, but also under sand, requiring a digging item to reach as it's too deep for explosives. The more bad news is that aggressive sea creatures block the path. There's no getting around it this time, we need digging items. But first, let's deal with the creatures. There's another important category of electrical items. Items that don't flip switches, but do produce an electrical explosion when put in the water. This kills anything close to it, including every creature in the Starlight's direct path. Then we can sync with the car and for some reason can dig while inside it. We constantly need to readjust the car so it's close enough to dig, but we can eventually grab the Starlight. "5-8 Action. The Starlight is far above Maxwell and behind a gate. Pulling the lever to open it also releases bombs that will destroy the Starlight. We're going to use a lot of bad items to solve this one. First, we need to destroy the bombs. Your instincts probably tell you to use fire, but bombs also explode after being destroyed, so I use spiky items like cactus to drop on them. Pick up the cactus before it's destroyed by the explosions so we can do the same thing to the bombs on the other side. I didn't use fire items before, even though it would also burn the rope to release the Starlight since I was out of fire items when I went back to this level, but there's another way to break the rope without us attacking it. Someone else attacking it. We'll summon someone with a ranged weapon, and to get them to attack, summon a monster on the opposite side of the rope to trick them into helping us. Then we just need some items to jump up to grab the Starlight, which you can actually do even if it's in the water. "5-9 Action. The Starlight is under a boat. Walking towards it will trigger a tripwire to drop rocks on the boat and destroy the Starlight with these spikes under it. We can't grab it fast enough if we just run to it, but there's one thing we can try. A petroglyph is behind the tripwire with us and won't trigger it if we push it onto the boat. Now I don't know what actually happened, but on an extremely lucky attempt, the petroglyph perfectly stopped the Starlight from touching the spikes and we could swim to it for a no summon clear. "5-10 Action. Welcome to hell. Someone turned the lights off while you were gone and nobody can find the switch. The Starlight is guarded by multiple things that want to eat Maxwell and is all the way at the bottom of an aquatic maze. One of the things that wants to eat Maxwell is a hammerhead shark, and fortunately it eats the anglerfish, which means we can potentially feed it until it becomes friendly. Unfortunately, we have to do this in the dark so the fish we summon as bait frequently gets eaten, and remember, this is a maze. Start by luring the shark to the closest anglerfish. Once near, it'll start to chase it to eat it. Then we lure the shark up and right. Don't let it eat the next closest anglerfish, or it'll fall asleep near another one that will attack it, making it unrideable. And you'll have to do this entire level again. Instead, lure it up to the other nearby anglerfish. At this point, the shark will move on its own and can eat the two anglerfish, falling asleep in Maxwell's reach. If it's too far away, we need to reset since we can't move the shark with Maxwell's god powers as we didn't summon it. Make your way under the ground, surface from the water, and move into the wall to the left. Once you're touching it, hold down and right. You'll notice you're touching terrain again once you see the waves only move sideways instead of down. Keep holding right and down until you see the waves move down again. And hold left while you descend to hug the wall. Once we stop moving, place the fish we summoned to the right of the sea serpent that would just love to eat us. As long as it's chasing the fish, we're safe to go left, and stop once holding down moves us in that direction. Hold down for a while and then move left again so we're on the bottom. The Starry is finally nearby, and Maxwell is almost out of oxygen. Yeah, he can actually drown. Add holding his breath for a really long time while having a fast heart rate from riding a shark to the superpower list though. There's a gate that isn't attached to anything blocking the Starry, so we summon something that floats to open it. Spawn it as far to the right as the terrain allows, and after a short wait, dismount the shark that's too big to fit. Hold left to quickly get under the gate so you can on-exist the floating summon. Now the gate should fall back into place and push you close enough to the starite to grab as long as you press it with the stylist. "511 Action. Maxwell is supposed to kill the ghouls to open the gate, so the soldiers open another gate, blocking him from placing something on a button that drops the starite. He's also supposed to press another button down there to open another gate that just blocks the other button he needs to press to drop the starite on him. However, there's a much simpler solution that works in our favor. Just summon something small to press the 2 buttons that drop the starite. Weirdly, if it's just the right size to fit between the gate and the button, it'll get stuck between them and not press the button. 5-1 Puzzle. Get the beggar off the island. They are foolishly unafraid of the crab, and also Cthulhu is underwater too. We just summon food for them to chase off the island. 5-2 Puzzle. Bring the chocolate from the 3rd vending machine to the volleyball player, but don't let the bully kill her, or Maxwell, obviously. The bully won't attack the volleyball player while aggroed on Maxwell, so we can easily bait him to the right side of the screen and jump over him to grab the candy bar and bring it to the volleyball player for a no summon clear. 5-3 Puzzle. Grow the Sprout. Yet another easy puzzle level where we can use bad summons like Fertilizer. 5-4 Puzzle. Get the lifeguard into the water. She wasn't responding to positive stimuli, so negative stimuli it is. It's time to play your favorite Scribblenauts game. Are these unique objects? Or will it just summon a snake? Like how much totally real channel points is everyone willing to bet that this will be a snake or be a special unique sprite? What is everyone willing to bet on this? I'm betting 1,000,000 channel points that don't exist that this is gonna be a regular snake again. Is this a snake? It's like a snake. And survey says it is a snake. I'm in crippling debt. Easy. Alright, who's rich and who... Yeah, see, Viper, Wait. Will Viper be a unique snake? Guys, bet again. Nobody looked at the screen, right? No one was looking? Well, I'm betting the 1 channel point I got back, because I just lost all my channel points on the last one. So I'm betting the 1 channel point I have that it is not unique. That's what I'm saying. Locking it in. 3, 2, 1. It's unique. No way. No way. I've got nothing to my name on my own YouTube channel. 5-5 Puzzle. Get the whale into the water. Unsurprisingly, riding it on land doesn't move it. I thought we'd need a valuable item like rope or fan here, but things attacking it knock it back into the water. So it's time for everyone's favorite game show, part 2. "5-6 Puzzle. Put something near the batter that they will swing at. It can be pretty much anything Maxwell can carry, but I thought it had to be a sports ball while doing this one, so I used them. 5-7 Puzzle. Bring the pocket watch to the pirate. It's inside the crocodile and the pirate has a sword, so we can just have Maxwell lure the crocodile over to the pirate for an easy no summon clear. 5-8 puzzle. Get to the trophy before the athlete. Wait, why isn't this an action level? The athlete is actually pretty slow, so we've got more than enough wiggle room to get past the obstacles in our way. I push the spiked ball behind the large boulder so I can move it by pushing the boulder. From there, just keep moving right and you've won for another easy no summon clear. "5-9 puzzle. Get the school bus back on the street from the water. We're finally going to use rope. Took longer than I thought, honestly. That sounds weird out of context. What I'm wondering is if we can beat it with just rope, as it's usually strong in combination with wings or jetpack to move basically anything, anywhere. The bus is big and heavy enough that Maxwell can't simply pull it out onto land. Keyword simply. Attach the rope to the wheel and swim into it to slowly pull Maxwell under the bus, so he can push it out of the water at the correct angle. "5-10 puzzle. Bring the steel box from the start all the way to the other side, but you can't use vehicles. I wasn't going to anyway. I had so much fun last level, I'm going to use only ropes again. There's another way we can cheat swimming, climbing down while in the water. We need a rope to bring the steel box with us anyway. The first overhang can actually be swum under with the steel box weighing us down enough. Next, jellyfish will attack us, but the beluga whale can kill at least 2 of them consistently, and we can lure the other one to the left and quickly go past it before it kills us. Now for the hard part. We're going to need to climb down the rope while it's connected to the sinking box. If the box falls off screen, we need to restart. Let go of the box and press the rope to select climb. I was initially trying to do this twice in a row, which kept making me move the rope with God mode and would lose enough time for the box to fall. But a better strategy is to climb down once, grab it, and swim into the wall. Maxwell is being pulled down quickly enough to not drown now, and he can make it to the other side. Don't worry, he resurfaces by making it to the other side, since swimming into the wall was the reason he stayed underwater. Now we've got to make it to land while the steel box weighs him down. It takes a while and depends on the length of the rope, but it's possible to jump on the sand and complete the level. "5-11 puzzle. Get him home safely. The only thing I'd change to make the hint more accurate is put safely in quotation marks. Lightning does very little damage, so we can easily push him back to land from behind the boat for a no summon clear. "6-1 action. The starry is on a higher platform and under sand. To get to the other platform, we'll need a summon to jump on top of. I use buildings here, which we normally need an additional summon to reach. But there's a cool trick Maxwell can do while interacting with things like the tiger that have him do a touching animation. These give him an extra jump while he does so for whatever reason, and since this is much less broken than the other double jump glitch, and I don't even know if this one is a glitch, I allowed it. Fortunately, the sand isn't very deep, so explosions opened it. Now for the bad news. The starry is stuck in a narrow hole, and I was out of rope summons when I got back to this level. That's unfortunate because we don't have room to nudge the starlight. Man, it's so easy to lie. We actually can nudge the starlight with small items. It's just even worse than a regular nudge. Yay. "6-2 action. The starry is attached to a rope with a mammoth holding it. Pulling it will trigger a tripwire to make it fall into the void. We can grab the rope, but can't bring the starry all the way up without triggering the tripwire. However, the tripwire only makes you drop the rope, so we can just pick it up again before it falls. Even better, the tripwire won't trigger again. Now we need to get it through the narrow wall. Have Maxwell bring it up as far as he can. Normally, the mammoth can't bring the starlight up. But by having Maxwell ride it in the right spot, the rope will be pulled with him and bring it close to the ground. From there, Maxwell can run to the starlight and tap it to grab it. (6-3) Action. Dig or get past a campfire to be near the starlight. It's trapped in a narrow crevice. Instead of nudging with a small item, there's another way to move the starlight that I haven't used yet. An ant or other animals / people that move on their own can't push the starlight, but an ant pushing something else can. Remember, the way things move in this game is left twice, then right twice. So if you want to avoid the rhino, only move the animal in front of the starlight when it's moving right. You can place it somewhere else while it moves left. I used items that could destroy or move the campfire for the animal to push. (6-4) Action. Kill the correct 3 animals. Killing the wrong one will fail the level. Wait, why isn't this a puzzle level? We just summon a creature to attack the 3 animals. (6-5) Action. Large ice layers that break upon stepping on them are the only path to enemies and ice blocks that are in front of the starlight. Quickly jumping off the ice layer before it breaks easily gets Maxwell to the ice blocks. We need to place a fire item near the encased Yeti, which is a little awkward since there's a slope near the ice block that can cause the fire to extinguish from directly falling onto the block. Once the Yeti is freed, place the fire near the encased caveman to free them and scare the Yeti. Our path is now open to reach the starlight. (6-6) Action. The starlight is on a conveyor belt we can manipulate the direction of and which walls open or close. At the end is fire that will destroy the starlight if we don't do something. Without summoning, the starlight will just fall onto the fire and get destroyed. Add that to the lie counter. Remember earlier when Maxwell phased through a surface by getting stuck on a gate? We can do something similar here. Close a gate nearby the fire on top of the starlight to make it physics all over the place. By opening the gate again, this might happen sometimes for a no summon clear. (6-7) Action. The pterodactyl flying around is holding the starlight. Strangely, summons that don't fly have a hard time landing a hit. So I use flying creatures that attack the pterodactyl to drop the starlight on Maxwell. (6-8) Action. Switches in an underwater maze open gates to get to the starlight. Normally we need to swim and dig to flip all the switches, but I've got a better idea. We've already used electrical explosions underwater to kill monsters. These can also flip underwater switches. We can take a more efficient route by only flipping the green switch this way and using a rope summon to swim. To get past the jellyfish without dying, pick them up and drop them behind Maxwell. There's a shark blocking our only path, but by bringing a jellyfish with us, the shark will prioritize eating it and swim right past us. This is a weird state creatures have where they become intangible to Maxwell, which is another superpower for those keeping track. (6-9) Action. To open the gate, bring the cow and bull down to the cowboy. The starlight is behind there and high up attached to a rope. We can save a summon by dismounting and jumping off the animal while they start falling. Then we can blow up the TNT by pushing the gunpowder into it and running away from the explosion. The cowboy will eventually get bored and kill the rattlesnake, but we can speed up attempts by bringing both animals to fight it at once. We do need a summon to bring the starlight down to us. This is the first level we'll actually summon guns. I know, everyone's been waiting for this. These are terrible for combat, so using them to break things from a distance is their best usage. And even then, most guns are too weak to break the rope with their limited ammo. so I had to test which ones were good enough to use here. "610 Action. The starlight is up a steep platform. There are cactuses, fire, vultures, and terrain in the way. Another level where we just won't be able to see, since I refuse to summon sun or fire for convenience. We only need a weapon to break the cactuses and can place it on the button to turn off the fire. Then I summon 2 objects to give me enough height to reach the last platform. Make sure not to jump, or Maxwell will attract another vulture, and it will mess with his cactus destroying abilities by having him run into it over and over like an idiot. Kill the final cactus that is right where the star will drop after a relatively quick nudge. "611 Action. Apples and lettuce are behind gates that when opened will fall down and be eaten by hippos and zebras. Give both lettuce to the hippos and both apples to the zebras. We just nudge the lettuce and apples to the correct sides and use that item to press the buttons that drop them." "6-1 Puzzle. Kill all the geese. Rather than using a strong monster to kill them, we summoned bad animals that would eat the geese. "6-2 Puzzle. Heat up the dinosaur egg. This isn't just limited to fire items. We can also use heating items like heater and grill, which are less valuable. "6-3 Puzzle. Summon 2 things that are used to celebrate the wedding. I just summon 8 different types of flowers. "6-4 Puzzle. Get the boy and the mountain climber near each other. I tried scaring the mountain climber while the boy was following me so I could make a jump without an item to cause both to die, but not before spawning the starlight. That sounds wrong, but don't worry, they died too quickly for this to even work. We'll need an item to deal with the campfire in our way first. I used bad guns. Then to get the boy across the long death pit, I used the only item type in the game that does what you would expect a bridge to do. Sports courts. It still wobbles a lot and usually results in death, but hey, sometimes it works. Before getting the boy to follow you to the mountain climber, pick up the bats and place them by the climber so they don't scare the boy into the wrong direction and cause the bridge to fall. "6-5 Puzzle. Get the giraffe near the zoo. There's a pit between them that we might be able to get the giraffe over without summons. We'll need to use the car for extra distance. Push it right until it can't go further. The giraffe can't simply jump on the car, but if you attack the tree with the giraffe while jumping, it'll move forward enough to land on top of the car. Now we need to push the car to the gap, dismounting to move the giraffe that would otherwise fall off. The jump required to make it across this gap is so precise I needed a save state to make this one doable. In order to get enough height and distance, start pushing the car before riding the giraffe. Move forward while on it. The goal is to use the top of the car as a platform to jump off of, which is made tricky because it's a diagonal platform that won't work unless it's in the perfect spot. The car will start to fall off the platform, and once it's as close as possible to the other side, jump off of it and finally make the jump to the other platform. There's one small other thing to do. The zookeeper scares the giraffe, so we need to jump towards the zoo to trigger the starlight spawn. It's worth mentioning the double jump glitch still works while riding animals, but I banned using it here too. "6-6 Puzzle. Get the zookeeper to the outhouse, but don't kill the animals. I was able to get us both past the monkey rarely, but couldn't get past the lion without summons. The monkey prioritizes aggression over food, so I use containers to move the zookeeper past the animals. 6-7 puzzle. Bring the diamond to the forest ranger, but don't kill the wolves. There's a pit we can lure all the wolves into that they can't escape. We can just jump over it to grab the diamond after it's safe, and jump over it again for an easy no summon clear. 6-8 puzzle. Feed the 3 herbivore dinosaurs, then feed one of them to the T-Rex. There are plants found naturally in the level that the herbivores will eat, so there's potential for a summonless clear. The Brontosaurus has a long enough neck to eat the shrub near the T-Rex without aggroing it. Maxwell dies in 2 T-Rex hits, and will take one on the way past him to pick up the clover. For some reason, the combination of jumping down the hill and the T-Rex facing away from Maxwell while he jumps lets him get by without taking the lethal attack. We can feed the clover to another herbivore, meaning only one more needs to eat before the T-Rex can eat them. What makes this difficult is that if the T-Rex eats one of the herbivores before they all eat, the level is instantly failed. And no matter what we do, the T-Rex will attack the dinosaur that needs to walk past them to get to the other plants. Even if we're riding them, we get knocked off and the herbivore gets distracted. Killing the T-Rex isn't an option, since it needs to eat last to beat the level. So, unfortunately, we need to spawn a single vegetable per clear. 6-9 puzzle. Put the bear in a ditch and summon any combination of 2 shelter items or blanket items. We can simply ride the bear into the ditch and jump off of it to leave without a summon. Then summon 2 bad items. 6-10 puzzle. Clear the dirt for the clown shot out of the cannon to hit the target. No killing the clown on top of the dirt. Maxwell can kill the one in the tent though. In fact, I recommend it. This is the perfect level to use ranged explosive weapons to save on digging objects. We need to get the flies out of the way, which can be done with the explosive item, or if it's a one-time use item, lure them away with food. There's an alligator between the cannon and the dirt, so we can't let the clown down there. Depending on the explosive item, we can carve a path for the clown to fall, or even grab the star right before the level fails, as long as we're close enough to the cannon after aiming the shot in an arc that destroys the relevant dirt. 6-11 puzzle. Bring the 3 items in the crates near the soldier. One crate is underwater, guarded by piranhas. The other 2 are guarded by enemies with guns. One of the crates is on the ground while the other is on top of a high platform. Piranhas may be aggressive, but most aquatic rideable aggressive animals eat them. We can summon one, and then summon a fish for them to eat and fall asleep after killing the enemies and eating the piranhas. This lets us ride the now passive animal to the underwater crate, and grab the item inside. The enemies drop their guns, which can break crates. In order to shoot the highest one, we'll need to get on top of the prison, which can be done with a crate and the map inside it to get on top of its weird collision that's higher up than it looks. Then, shoot the crate, and the item inside should drop out on the ground for you to grab. Bring them all near the soldier to complete the level. Someone pointed out that I used art and painting, which are synonyms. I promise this was on accident, and there were other times I did this and other viewers pointed it out, or I realized while replaying levels. Thanks for telling me, Uzi Spatula. If anyone notices any other synonyms I use, please let me know. Instead of using a different object to nudge, because god no, I just use a printer for the paper inside on the level we had to color and art. Speaking of comments, some people pointed out that, actually the spikes in the ceiling are stalactites, not stalagmites? I can out actually all of you. If you use the magnifying glass on the ceiling spikes, they're called stalagmites. You can only imagine my evil smile upon realizing I had the perfect engagement bait for the last video while still technically being right. If you're wondering why this is, the game reuses objects in weird ways for many levels to show them to the player as a subtle way to push them into using more items. 4-4 Puzzle has my favorite example of this, where instead of just using a chandelier, which is in the game, the level uses a rope attached to a cake stand to mimic a chandelier. 7-1 Action. Going near the starlight causes it to get pulled away. This one seemed potentially possible without summons. Although there's not much you can do except keep jumping at it until it maybe decides to work. The only strategy is knowing exactly how close you can be to the starlight before it gets yoinked away, allowing you to jump as close to it as possible. I thought about giving up this level, but got tantalizingly close so many times, and sure enough, it luckily bounced off the platform above it and towards Maxwell, allowing him to just barely grab it in time. (7-2 Action. Get to the starlight before one of the developers reaches their finish line. It's another race. Alright, race the developers. Oh. Alright. (7-3 Action. Exploding barrels continuously fall out of pipes you have to get past, and some pits are in the path to the starlight. You'd usually want a quick vehicle here, but Maxwell can jump between the explosions safely. The explosion radius is bigger than it appears and stays on screen for longer than you'd expect, but it's possible to thread the needle and jump between all the platforms for another summonless clear. (7-4 Action. The starlight is down a long fall and between many spiked balls. Just hold right. Part 2. (7-5 Action. The starlight is slowly being lowered into spikes. Maxwell needs to traverse land and hills, then drive a vehicle on the road, and finally swim under platforms to get to the starlight in time. Our easy streak is over. No matter what we use here, it'll be a challenge without strong summons. The bad news is this is possible with a single vehicle. To make that possible, we'll be taking advantage of the weirdest movement quirk in this game. Maxwell can move with both the face buttons and stylus. When you pick up an item with Maxwell's god powers while he's moving, he'll keep moving to where you initially pressed to hold the item. This helps because we need to summon a car to open a gate that will only open by summoning a vehicle. That same car will be used to make every jump Maxwell can't make normally. Since moving the screen to the previously summoned item would take time we don't have, we'll keep it on screen and move Maxwell at the same time by constantly picking it up and dropping it. There's a high platform that's tough but can be gotten up with the diagonally falling car and a perfect jump. If we don't get this in a few attempts, we've already lost, so just reset the level. We can usually drive the car to the right to get it up the platform if jumping out of it wouldn't let Maxwell make it up there himself. Once we get to the water, we need to quickly move Maxwell and the car at the same time again to ride it under the overhangs. The car will also be needed to block a shark from killing Maxwell, and we'll have just enough time to grab the starlight before it's destroyed. This is one of the hardest but most satisfying levels to beat execution-wise. (7-6 Action. A villain holds the starlight that Maxwell needs to grab before the people fall into the lava. There are many high platforms, pits, and armed enemies in the way. We're going to need flight, and flying vehicles work perfectly here. Many vehicles, including most flying vehicles, do contact damage if they make contact with people in a specific way. We can use this to kill an enemy and steal their gun. It also helps that ranged weapons are weird in this game and the bullet can't get fired if something is too close to the weapon. Then we can take the gun to the villain and kill them as we can't take the starlight otherwise. Seven action. Moving towards the starlight causes the large boulders to fall that instantly kill Maxwell upon touching them. The starlight is on a high platform with a lava pit in front of it. I used natural structures like hill and canyon since they were a good shape to jump from the higher point of the sloping hill onto, and we can reach the starlight with just them. 7-8 action. The starlight will be crushed by spikes that get closer once Maxwell reaches certain thresholds. Walking next to the starlight will crush it before Maxwell can reach it. I did try the summonless for a while, but I don't think any jump arc works here. We'd normally need a strong summon like Black Hole or Shrink Ray, but I was determined to find a better, worse solution. Many steel items aren't destroyed by spikes, so bring the spikes close to the starlight and put them under it to bounce the starlight away before it gets crushed. Seven 9 action. The starlight is behind multiple platforms that require Maxwell to go up and down large distances. The security guards are still after Maxwell for the crimes against humanity he's committed between 211 action and now. This is a great level to use flying aggressive creatures to add to Maxwell's crimes and then feed the creatures to make them rideable to fly to the starlight. Seven 10 action. People have resorted to guerrilla warfare in an attempt to catch Maxwell. Get to the starlight behind a high platform to escape. We'll be using vehicles to teleport up the platforms. The armed enemies will attack Maxwell, but we can trick them into killing each other. We can force them to ride and dismount our vehicle until they're all grouped up on top of each other, then peek out and hide again. The bazooka will now kill all of them, allowing Maxwell to safely finish the level. Seven 11 action. The starlight is on top of a mountain of exploding barrels. Maxwell is in the middle of said exploding barrels. This is just nudging with extra steps. First, slowly push one side of the barrels down and run to the other side to not die. Then push the other side down. Nudging is trickier with the barrels under the starlight, but we can carefully nudge them away too, and safely get the starlight after it falls. Seven 1 puzzle. Summon 4 objects that produce sound. We'll just summon a bunch of instruments, and nothing of value was lost. Seven 2 puzzle. I think you're supposed to summon a vehicle and use it to go over the fire. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the objective truly is. I genuinely this is a level I just don't understand. I just don't understand it. What do you want me to do, game? Just tell me. Just gotta jump over the fire, but we have to make... I'm gonna look back at the footage. I'm gonna... What? 7-3 puzzle. Maxwell needs to fall between 3 sets of flags before landing on the ground to spawn the starlight and not fail the level. There's a set directly under where he falls after taking off the helmet. The next set is to the right. Unfortunately, the set after that is too far to the left to ever reach without a summon before Maxwell falls past it and on the ground. Fortunately, I'm a dirty liar again. There is summonless potential here. Maxwell should be able to grab the balloons attached to the flags on his way down. I tried picking up the first balloon many times, but just couldn't. I think what's happening here is the size of the object and speed affect what Maxwell can grab. For example, since I'm using an emulator, I can speed up the game if I want to, but I only do this for testing and not in an actual attempt. And weirdly, while the game is sped up, I can't select things like the helmet to remove it. I believe Maxwell is falling too fast, making him unable to pick up the balloon. Good thing there's a bigger flag attached to that balloon then. Like I said, size also influences if something can be picked up while moving fast, and the flag is legally big enough to grab at high speeds. This next part is tricky. We need to fall between the two flags to trigger the level condition, but we also need to get the balloon stuck on the flag to the left. Getting stuck here allows Maxwell to swing from the rightmost pair of flags to the leftmost one and clear the level without summons. This one surprised me and is one of my favorite summonless solutions. "7-4 Puzzle. Pin down the giant." This is a weird level, because certain big objects have the unique property of being heavy, but only in this specific level when applied to this specific giant. Easy level, but I hate it. Why'd they do that? "7-5 Puzzle. Pulling the levers spawn things, open gates, and spawn the starite. The starite is spawned on a platform that we normally can't reach without a summon and will instead fall into the void. However, one of the levers spawns a steel box. Even while an object is falling, it's still considered a platform. So, with perfect positioning and timing, we can jump off of the falling steel box and into the starite for a no summon clear. "7-6 Puzzle. The starite is in the 4th grate. By running through the tripwire on the only path, the boxes will fall into the lava. The other falling boxes knock Maxwell around and get in the way. But well-timed jumps will let us reach the starite before it sinks in the lava without summons. "7-7 Puzzle. A concrete mixer is driving off the road. Stop it from falling into the water. If it does, you fail." Initially, I did this on stream, and we used animals to block the truck and then put them on top of it to grab the starite. I think we can do even better. We can't solve this like the one where we stopped the boat, since the truck can't be jumped on to flip over like the boat, and even kills Maxwell. But there's one mechanic so incredibly obscure, I'm not even sure if it's documented anywhere, that bothered me that it never came up in this challenge. And it might help us here. When we first load into any level, there's a level start screen we press OK on to start the level and gain control of Maxwell and his notebook. Before we press OK, the rest of the stage is loaded in. And interestingly, certain things can move while on the screen. In this case, the concrete mixer slowly, and I mean very slowly, moves while on the screen. I wanted to see if this could somehow help us here. So, using emulator speedup and save states to test different positions, because it takes an hour for the truck to get to the end of the road on the screen, I found out some interesting things. The truck will eventually get stuck at the end of the road and stay there. Once you press OK and close the hint dialog, it regains movement and drives off in record time. I think that's technically the fastest you can fail a level. At least after starting it in this game, so that's cool. I tested out some other spots, and to my absolute shock, the truck stopped and turned around to spawn the starite. I think what happened here, but I'm only guessing, is that the truck got stuck on the roadblock before it started moving. So instead of knocking it off the road and driving off like normal, it never got a chance to start moving. And in a regular playthrough of this level where you don't solve it like a maniac, Putting something in front of it to stop it from moving is what spawns the starite. This is very precise. I tried a bunch of positions with the roadblock until it worked. We still need to get the starite though. After we stop the truck, it turns around and drives back to an earlier point on the road. This allows us to move it without fear of pushing it into the water, and we can run into it to flip it upwards from this direction to grab the starite behind it without summons. I'm extremely happy this worked because it's such a funny mechanic, and I'm glad I got the chance to talk about it. My only regret is I didn't record my reaction, but it was something like, "What? No way, oh my god." Or like something like that, you know. Seven 8 puzzle. Kill the 2 enemies before they destroy the fighter jet the mercenary is riding. If it's destroyed, you lose. The enemies both have guns. The plan to beat this without summons is pretty simple. Trick them into shooting each other by jumping between them. Once the first one dies, steal their gun to kill the other one. The one flaw in my plan was expecting my ally to help me. What the? I was gonna save you with that. I was gonna use that to save you. Why'd you take the gun if he was just gonna do that? Seven 9 puzzle. Get the 3 people on small platforms next to bottomless pits and a shark back to the starting platform. This is why we saved flying vehicles with passenger seats. We can move the vehicle with God mode over the people we're bringing with us in the spot where the passenger seat is to put them in it. Then, usually while still in the air, have Maxwell ride from the front to fly back. That's important because most vehicles we use here can't fly without building up enough speed on the ground first, and what ground? The most difficult passenger to save is near the shark and at a bad angle to put in the vehicle. Dismount the vehicle mid-air, jump out of the water, and pick it up again before it short circuits. Then, keep dropping it at an angle so you can put the sailor in the passenger seat and fly away. Seven 10 puzzle. Sailors attached to rope need to be brought back to the aircraft carrier. Between them are many enemies with powerful explosive weapons, a shark, some naval mines, and an overhang Maxwell needs to swim under. When I came back to this level, I was pretty much out of things that could break ropes. Fortunately, I don't have to. The enemies will shoot at aggressive creatures, so something like a kraken can be placed in front of the battleship and picked up again to cause the shot to break the rope. We can also nudge the battleship with the creature, which we'll need to do since 2 separate explosions are needed to break both ropes and not kill the sailors. We can also use it to blow up the mines by having it swim into them and picked up before dying again. That's great because I used it to scare the sailors. Normally, things move left twice, then right twice. Scaring people will cause this to reset, so they always move away from the creature. Since I needed to not kill them and the kraken is so big, I needed to pick it up constantly at the start. Once there's enough room for the kraken, I could just scare them from a safe distance. Unfortunately, that cool strategy is useless because no matter what I tried, the sailors won't swim underwater themselves and the aircraft carrier can't be pushed close enough to them to trigger the starite spawn. I needed to spawn rideable things to get under the overhang and pull the sailors to the carrier. Seven 11 puzzle. Kill all 3 creatures. If they kill 3 creatures you summon, you lose. We'll only be using 1 obviously, but the win condition is just killing the 3 opponents, so even though the ninja I summoned died, I can drop its shuriken on top of the enemies to kill them and win. Eight 1 action. A cracked wooden platform, enemy with a gun, lava, and Phoenix are obstacles to get to the Starite up a high platform. Fortunately, the steel box has a hammer in it to break the wooden platform. We'll need to deal with the enemy and lava with a summon. I use vehicles since they can be used to dismount the enemy in lava, and I can teleport to them instead of falling into lava. The hammer can kill the Phoenix. We'll need to nudge the Starite down with another summon. (8-2) Action. Enemy fighter jets are flying around under Maxwell. One of them has the Starite attached to it. By jumping off the first jet into the other one, we can reach the Starite without summons. (8-3) Action. A maze of walls and alternate paths has levers that open gates, including the one that opens the path to the Starite. I was out of flying items and electrical items that could flip switches by the time I came back to this level. We can't put a pool item in the ground to get under this gate either. The red switch we need to flip is so far down a pit that I needed to go back and get some electrical items I already used. In particular, I found that turret has the background property, so that replaced one. An item I was saving, Thunderbolt, was too big for 8-3 action, but could fit just fine in 1-6 action, allowing me to use Mechanic in a smaller area instead. It looks like we might need another summon to get to the Starite's platform, since holding right while falling doesn't get us on it. But by holding left and turning right just under the ceiling, Maxwell can land on the platform to beat the level. (8-4) Action. The Starite is on top of 3 gates that buttons open. Catch it before it falls off the level. We only need a summon to put on one button at a time. We can easily jump into the Starite before it falls off. (8-5) Action. The Starite is above Maxwell. There are many different gates tied to buttons to open the path. We just do the classic height item plus vehicle combo to get enough height. (8-6) Action. Pull both levers to drop the Starite. Each lever also drops enemies. A strange mechanic that helps this level be beaten summonless is that by pressing the second lever quickly after the first one is flipped, it flips instantly, so the enemies can't knock Maxwell away from the lever to stop us. (8-7) Action. The lever we need to pull to release the Starite is on a high platform. Flipping it also releases gorilla enemies that want to kill Maxwell. We just use flying vehicles to flip the switch and run for the Starite. (8-8) Action. Air vents push Maxwell away from the lever needed to open the gate the Starite is behind. When I tried this on stream, I couldn't get to the lever without a summon since the air vents blow Maxwell away. Look, I already told you I was stupid. (8-9) Action. Maxwell needs to get past conveyor belts, lava, spikes, and fire to grab the Starite on a high platform. I was surprised that Maxwell can actually jump over the spikes and make it to the other side. Sometimes. The Starite is painfully close, yet out of reach. After testing different jumps, I realized the closest I could get was jumping as close to the fire without getting knocked back, and a perfect damage boost from initially landing on the fire. Once again, I was shocked that it was just barely possible summonless. (8-10) Action. There are multiple high platforms and mines. By bringing a diamond with him, Maxwell can open the gate the Starite is behind. We just need height items. The mines can be destroyed by throwing the diamond at them. 8-11 action. Dig or trigger a tripwire that breaks the rope and makes the starlight fly up. The balloons despawn from going off screen, making it fall back down eventually, but Maxwell still needs to get there from a bottomless pit. I just use flying vehicles. Most don't fit in the narrow path, requiring Maxwell to get on the vehicle while falling. Eight-1 puzzle. Get the 3 rocks near the astronaut. You're supposed to trade a summon to peacefully get the rocks, but nah. By stealing the rocks, the Martians rudely get angry and attack. The first rock is easy to get. We can jump to the other platform and jump back to drop it there. The Martian will fall down to the lower area. If we go down there, we can't get back up without a height summon. Yeah, I lied again, sue me. There's a spaceship up a hill by the astronaut. It's slowly, and again I mean slowly, rolling down. And because nothing can ever be easy, it eventually stops before falling down and isn't in reach. With a perfectly timed rock throw and jump, we can ride it while it's facing down. Don't get near the astronaut while inside, since they'll get on top of it. The Martian that's angry is under us. Baiting them to the left side of the screen and then moving allows us to fly to the rightmost Martian before they catch up. Dismount the spaceship so that it's blocking the Martian from attacking us after we pick up the rock. Quickly ride it again and angle the spaceship to fly out of the hole. Now we can intentionally pick up the astronaut and drop the rock as far to the left as possible. Fly to the top right to lure the 2 angry Martians that direction. Once they're in the right spot, quickly fly down to the 3rd rock. The plan is to not leave the ship to pick it up so we don't die from taking too much damage. With all 3 rocks near the astronaut, the starlight spawns. All we need to do now is fly out of the hole before we get beat up, which I do for another no summons clear. Eight-2 puzzle. Reveal the imposter. Most ways of doing that are with violence. That's no issue for me. 8-3 puzzle. Summon a background object in the sky and kill the skunk. We just established that I love violence. As for the sky, we summon planets like your mom. 8-4 puzzle. Teddy bears are constantly being pushed into fire. Save one and give it to the girl. We can pretty easily just jump and grab one before it falls into the fire and bring it to the girl for a summonless clear. 8-5 puzzle. Get the girl near the helicopter. Zombies surround her and Maxwell from both sides. If the girl gets turned into a zombie, you lose. This may look hopeless summonless, but there's a graveyard to the left with a corpse that we can, borrow. The zombie usually eats it before we can pick it up, but with a little luck, we'll eat it first, grab it first. The zombies near Maxwell will be pacified and follow him while he holds the corpse. The girl can still turn into a zombie since she's running around like a maniac, so follow her until the zombies group up together. Bring them all to the helicopter. The girl will eventually run back to Maxwell, but then run away before triggering the starlight spawn due to the zombies chilling here. Jump up and hold right into the back of the helicopter to gradually move it into the sky. Eventually, we'll be able to go under it and bring the zombies with us. The girl will now run close enough to spawn the starlight for a summonless clear. 8-6 puzzle. Kill the alien in the UFO. Keep at least one cow alive or you lose. I tried beating this one summonless for a long time, but the alien and the UFO can't get pushed far enough off screen to despawn. Cows can attack the UFO, but only from above, and they die instantly from making contact with it. I feel like there might be some precise trick to attack the alien here without a cow dying, but I couldn't find it. So we brought one cow to the right corner of the screen that the alien doesn't go to. Then we attacked the UFO with weapons to break it and kill the alien on the ground. "8-7 Puzzle. An alien encased in ice is up a high platform. Get them to the truck without them or the mad scientist dying. Made more difficult with the bottomless pit. I use a rideable animal to nudge the ice block to the right, giving me more room to place the animal and teleport to get up the platform. Once we're on the other side, we need a lucky push that gets the ice block safely on the other side of the pit, and is far enough away from the mad scientists that they don't follow the ice block and jump into the pit themselves. From there, we can just push the ice block up the slope. 8-8 Puzzle. Get the large pipe chunk up to the higher platform. We'll use rope objects again here. Getting up the pipe is tricky, but you can jump off of the corner with a running jump to get on top of it. You can't stand on that corner, and don't ask me why. Or do I don't care. We can easily pull it up from there. 8-9 Puzzle. Press all 3 buttons at the same time to open the gate to the safe containing the starite. For some reason, I tried beating this without summons, even though there's only me and the security guard. We need a summon, and I'm not lying this time. Just place Maxwell on the rightmost button and a bad object on the middle one. The security guard will run over and press the final button to open the gate. Quickly grab the starite before this guard attacks a child. 8-10 Puzzle. Get the alien and hologram near the UFO. The UFO is broken, so we can't fly it, but there is summonless potential here, and I'm not lying again. Telling the truth feels amazing. There are 2 secret agents that will attack Maxwell and the alien. Get close to the first one to lure them towards us and hide in the UFO until they fall down by the other secret agent. Run to free the alien while they attack each other. Quickly drop down so we witness the secret agent kill their colleague. This is important because for some reason, aggressive people that normally aren't aggressive will attack you after they kill someone else. But if Maxwell witnesses their misdeed, they become embarrassed and just don't attack anymore. I honestly have no idea why. Sometimes if you get out of their attack range and go back in, they'll attack again, but they usually don't anymore. The alien being near the left wall will count as them being near the UFO. Now we need to get the hologram near it too. We can push it to the left, but of course it isn't that easy. We need to hope for a lucky bounce for it to get close enough to trigger the starite spawning, which usually takes over a minute. Now for the fun part. The starite is all the way up there, and Maxwell is all the way down here. We have to hope the secret agent can survive one shot from the drop stun gun to start attacking us. If not, we have to restart as we have no way out. If they do, we also probably have to restart because getting a damage boost out of here is basically pure luck. All we can do is push the hologram over here for a little extra height and keep jumping and hoping we're shot at the perfect angle to get out of the hole. And after a few hours of attempts, I finally did for a summonless clear. Of all summonless solutions, don't do this one the most. 8-11 Puzzle. Have a vehicle touch the power lines from below them. You usually want a large vehicle to drive into the power lines, but we can also push some into the power lines. 9-1 Action. The starite is on top of mines and bats encased in ice blocks. Ranged weapons with 3 ammo are just good enough here. Shoot the middle ice block to free the bat. Drop the weapon and pick up the bat to move it out of the way. Shoot the next layer's middle ice block and hope it doesn't explode on Maxwell's face. Finally, shoot the top ice block with the last shot. And hoping for the best worked out so well last time, I'll do it again. "9-2 action. Run down to the Starlight. Ghost chase Maxwell once he gets close to them." And then I was like, Pac-Man? Okay. "9-3 action. Pull a lever to temporarily open a gate that connects to a dangerous area with a spiked ball and steel box getting moved around by air vents. A wooden platform and harpies guard the Starlight. Instead of going up there with flight, we'll bring the Starlight to us. At first I used fire objects to break the wooden platform, but I needed to get the good ones back for another level, so I used red magic instead." I just realized that sentence sounds insane. Red magic is like fire object adjacent. I also finally found a use for lava, a nearly useless summon that drops lava over an area and quickly disappears. This doesn't set most relevant things on fire, and is too weak for anything else. It's just enough to break the wooden platform though. Seriously, this was the weakest summon I tried to find a use for so many times and it never worked. We used people to lure the harpies away and nudge the Starlight to the corner. Be ready to center the screen on Maxwell after the spike ball goes by and the final Starlight nudge. This ensures we can flip the switch and have the Starlight fall to us. "9-4 action. There are 2 paths to the Starlight. Large ice spikes block one, and a gap and Cicalia block another. They meet up at a frost giant encased in ice. Behind them is the Starlight up a high platform. I went the spiky path once since Gorilla destroyed them, but each other time I used a height item to get over the gap. We can easily jump over the Cicalia to reach the frost giant. We'll use a fire item since this thaws the frost giant and scares them so they don't kill Maxwell. Then nudge the Starlight down with the fire item after extinguishing it in the water." 9-5 action. Maxwell is trapped behind stalagmites. Yes, both of them are stalagmites, remember? There are spiked balls that will fall once he goes under them, a large fire vent, and Necromancer with their army guarding the Starlight. The only 2 things we need are a water item to get rid of the fire, and something to ride that can fly. We can escape the stalagmites by teleporting to the ride. The spiked balls will scare creatures, so we trigger them falling with Maxwell jumping to the bottom platform. The fire scares animals and has too large of a hitbox for most things to fly over, so I extinguish it with a water item. The Necromancer's army will politely all follow us into the lava to open the path to the Starlight. 9-6 action. The Starlight is buried under a lot of sand and is protected by monsters. We need a way to gain height and break sand, so vehicles with explosive attacks are perfect here. Most vehicles of this type only attack in front of them, so we need to angle them diagonally to break the sand and not self-destruct. Let the Cyclops kill the mummies and try to put them behind your vehicle before exiting to get out of their aggro range. We'll need a small object to nudge the Starlight, but that's no surprise at this point. 9-7 action. There are 2 paths to the Starlight. One with minimal swimming leading to a pit Maxwell needs to gain enough height to get out of. The other has him swim under that. Both involve an aggressive Plesiosaurus. They meet up at a giant and girl guarding the Starlight. You lose if the girl dies. We need to swim either way, so I use rideable aquatic animals. First, I lure the Plesiosaurus away from the bottom path by constantly moving the summon. That frees up room to get to the giant and girl. Have the giant attack the summon, which allows us to phase through them and grab the Starite. (9-8) action. Kill Shogoth for the Starite gate to open, and another one to raise it to Maxwell. Shogoth is surprisingly weak, so we use weak animals to kill them. 9-9 action. Many monsters, switches, and levers block the way as we descend to the Starite guarded by a Chimera, and air vents pushing Maxwell into lava. My summonless senses are tingling again. The first layer of monsters has 2 gargoyles. Jump down to the left and hold right on the way down to take as little damage to the nearby gargoyle as possible, and run away to lure it to the right. Once we are about to be attacked by both gargoyles, jump over the left one and run to the lever. We'll need to be out of its aggro range to stop it from flying and get it on the gate. Once open, the gargoyle is now close enough to fight the Jersey Devil. He's also there. With it walking far enough left, Maxwell can sneak by and pull the gray switch to get to the next layer. A flatwood monster will attack once we jump down, but we can jump over it and pull the next gray switch as long as the other one is far enough away to not knock us out of range. Normally, you're supposed to pull a green and red switch to get past the air vents blowing into the lava, but these switches are more trouble than they're worth. Jump into the lava and out directly into the Chimera. Wait, Maxwell, no, it's dangerous, don't do it. I would usually either die in one hit or get knocked too far in the wrong direction to win. This time, I got attacked a moment too late and got knocked slightly to the left to grab the Starite without summons. (9-10) action. The Starite is on the opposite side of a lava pit with a square platform blocking the direct path forward. We're going to have to fly, so say goodbye to even more flying summons, my beloved. 9-11 action. The Starite is above a small dirt layer attached to a rope. An air vent will blow it towards Maxwell, but a wooden platform prevents it from falling all the way down. Maxwell is trapped in an area that basically forces the Starite to be moved to him. This was a level that required me to get some fire summons back. We can blow up the rope with them, burn the wooden platform, and blow up the dirt paired with another summon that explodes when making contact with fire. Strangely, items can even move the Starite by attaching to the rope, but it needs to be quickly before the Starite burns and the rope has to face the right direction. Oh, wait. We're kinda onto something here. We're kinda onto something. Hold on, hold on! It's coming, I mean, it's making its way. This is Scribblenauts. That's the game we're playing right now. Please don't have the Starite die right before me. Come on, come on. Oh my, let's go. That's a good one. (9-1) puzzle. Get the prisoner, bully, and lawyer onto the top platform. The idea for this level is getting them to heaven, so it gives items considered holy the special attribute of making the people holding them fly up to the higher platform. This turns usually useless items into the best solution here. (9-2) puzzle. Resurrect the zombie and contain them in the cell. Unfortunately, reanimating the zombie uses electricity items, and only good ones at that. Zeus can't just attack something for that lightning to zap the zombie back to on life. Why did I write that? The only other way that works as far as I can tell is connecting a rope item to the zombie and cryo chamber. I had more ropes than electrical objects, so I used some short ones to resurrect the zombie. Then we need to lure it down to the lower platform and in the cage. I just summon random people to aggro the zombie down and close the cage with them both inside. 9-3 puzzle. Kill the werewolf disguised as a grandmother. We can just use bad aggressive creatures. A spider can even win from under the bed if we stop it from being stupid and jumping up. 9-4 puzzle. The starlight is contained inside a coffin under dirt and guarded by a vampire. This level is annoying to do with a single explosive, since we need to be the perfect distance to not aggro the vampire, but still destroy the dirt. Then we need to jump down the hole but not push the coffin too far to the right, or the starlight will be just out of grasp. But it is possible. 9-5 puzzle. Get the postman following Maxwell near the mansion. A werewolf blocks the path, but killing it fails the level. We can just aggro the werewolf ourselves and bring it to the right corner of the screen with us so the postman doesn't get scared and run away. Jump back over the werewolf so we can pick up the starlight for an easy summonless clear. Bye. Enjoy your mail. Oh, cool, the mail just came. Awesome. Where'd the mailman go? "9-6 puzzle. Summon a party item and wear 3 things. There are a bunch of bad party items we can summon here. We can do the same trick as before by taking off the clothing item and putting it back on to spawn the starlight. 9-7 puzzle. Bring the 3 trash bags to the higher platform. The platform is high up enough that we'll use flying items here. Some break upon touching the water, so we'll make them exist while they're in the air, and be extra careful when moving the mutants with them. 9-8 puzzle. Summon a wearable item to place on the first floor, a food item on the second floor, and a sound producing item on the third floor. We just summoned 3 bad items, and yeah. 9-9 puzzle. Help the zombies turn the enemies with weapons into zombies. If anyone in the level dies, you lose. These zombies usually die to the gun while approaching, but there might be a way we can solve this without violence. I mean without summons. We will use violence, don't worry. Pick up the corpse in the second graveyard and lure all the zombies back into the left corner of the screen. This will make them all stack up on top of each other, so they'll attack all the enemies at once instead of one at a time. Drop the corpse and run in front of them so they'll become aggressive again. Stay in front of them to block as many shots from the gun as possible with Maxwell, which should let the zombies advance close enough to turn the enemies before anyone dies. And you know what, heck it, Maxwell being so resistant to bullets is a superpower, I'll say it. Finally, we need to actually reach the starlight on top of the tree. Jump over the zombies and hope they accidentally knock us into the starlight without summons. 9-10 puzzle. A grandfather clock will teleport to the 4 corners of the map whenever Maxwell gets near it. Place items in the 3 spots the clock can teleport, and once Maxwell walks near it, the starlight will spawn. This is the perfect level to use objects that summon multiple objects. Rooms are perfect for this, since they summon appliances and furniture that are typically in those rooms. Kitchen summons a fridge, fork, and stove to put in all 3 spots for a 1 summon clear by technicality. My favorite way to win. 9-11 puzzle. Protect the giant from villagers to the left and knights to the right. If a villager dies, you lose. After enough time passes, the starlight will spawn. I don't actually know why this happens, but placing a pool item under the giant immediately spawns the starlight. Grab it before we can question this, and the giant dies. The giant moves before we press OK, so I tried the 7-7 puzzle strategy here, but it doesn't work. He runs the correct direction to fight the knights who are allowed to die, which would also give him some distance from the villagers who aren't allowed to die, but can attack. The giant is too weak to solo 2 knights though. "10-1 action. Going through the tripwire on the only path causes the starite under Maxwell to fall. Spiked balls at the bottom will destroy the starite before Maxwell can reach it. Buildings are background objects with a solid roof, so they don't get destroyed by the spiked balls, and the starite can land on them to at least slow it down enough to grab it. Add this to the list of levels I tried to beat summonless for an embarrassing amount of time. 10-2 action. As Maxwell moves forward on the top platform, below him the starite gets pushed by a gate. The top platform is longer, so the starite will fall off the level if Maxwell moves all the way up. I was out of rope items to attach the starite to the gate, but we'd still need a way to reach it, and I was also out of flying items. Fortunately, glue works amazingly here. Big day for glue fans. We attach glue to the starite and a bird. We can lure the bird towards Maxwell with another item to get it to fly the starite over to him. Unfortunately, birds will lose stamina that I didn't even know they had and eventually fall into the void with the starite. So be ready to run off the top platform and grab the starite on your way down. 10-3 action. The starite is on top of 3 different gates. 2 are opened with buttons underwater, and 1 is opened with a lever behind sand. All of them are guarded by monsters. Fortunately, we can cheese all of the gates. The lever can be flipped with an electrical explosion. We don't need an item to swim since the monsters all have snorkels. We can kill the wolf to steal their snorkel. Then drop the weapon on the buttons and swim to the starite, turning a scary looking level into a nice and easy one. 10-4 action. Where the X-Way... the X-Way. Wear the X-ray goggles to open the gate. This is an easy and intended summonless level. There's not really anything else to say. Does anyone else think the starite would taste really good? "10-5 action. Levers open gates above Maxwell. One of them drops the starite, and the others drop monsters. Just pull the correct one for another easy summonless clear. 10-6 action. Maxwell's hat and a wooden cage are attached to a rope on the ceiling. Below them is lava. Maxwell can start opening the cage, but won't be able to finish the animation before falling back down, forcing him to restart the animation and never open the cage. Of course I'm lying. We can keep getting a boosted jump from the lava's damage to get in range of the cage. Remember how we used a tiger to get an alternate double jump? Well, we can do the same thing here. Interacting with the cage grants us another jump to give us just enough time for the cage to open and starite to fall onto us. It's a lot harder than it looks with how lava knockback works, but we take those. 10-7 action. Welcome to hell. Hi, how are ya? The starite is on a high platform. Maxwell can press a red button to have 3 large boulders drop to open a path or dig to the starite. Both regular methods of beating this level require flying, so we're going to do the longest nudge of the challenge. First, to make the starite grabbable, go to the right corner and drop the nudging item onto the button. The boulders will bounce off of Maxwell to fall behind him. And since I had to do this, you'll have to watch it. That guarantees that I'll be able to actually hit the starite after 45 minutes. So yeah, see you in an hour. "10-8 action. Air vents blow Maxwell up and down into the void. 2 buttons need to be pressed to open the Starlight gates. To save the most time, I would try to get Maxwell to the last air vent. At the perfect spot, he can run from one air vent blowing up to the other without getting pushed off the map from the one pointing down. Do that until he's above the last air vent. Then, summon a bad item to drop into the buttons to open the gates. If we just run forward, Maxwell will hit the wall and fall. Instead, run off the air vent to the left and turn back around to hopefully land next to the Starlight. "10-9 action. Press 3 buttons at the same time to open the Starlight gate. One is on the ceiling, one is underwater, and one is on top of a fire vent. We'll use rooms that summon multiple items again. 2 of the items will touch the button underwater, 1 for the one on fire, and we'll quickly jump into the ceiling button by using one of the items as a platform before the fire destroys the other item. That'll open the gate so we can grab the Starlight. "10-10 action. The Starlight is behind a gate that, when opened, will turn on an air vent to blow it into spikes. We use a height item and vehicle to teleport into, and a building for the Starlight to safely land on. "10-11 action. Run into the first gate to open all of them. This is a troll level from the developers. I sure hope they don't troll me in the final puzzle level, haha. Dev intended, no summon clear. "10-1 puzzle. Scare the maid with police or weapons. I redid this level to get policewoman back to shoot a rope, so bad weapons are better to use than people here. "10-2 puzzle. Summon something romantic. We just summon 4 more unique flowers. "10-3 puzzle. Bring the boat to the left or right. We can just push the boat. "10-4 puzzle. Win all 3 carnival games. Hit the target, kill the 3 moles, and press the button to hit the fire alarm with the kickball. Anything we can throw that does damage works here. I use some weapons, but most rocks deal some damage from being thrown. The top mole is hard to hit with rocks, but a throw from the apex of our jump works. "10-5 puzzle. Make the cowboy live and kill the highwayman holding a gun. The cowboy has to kill the highwayman himself to win. We just give the cowboy weapons that win. "10-6 puzzle. Give 1 patient family, 1 medical help, and 1 entertainment. Doctor and nurse both count as family and medical help. Although anything that counts as any of these categories isn't good enough to worry about using. "10-7 puzzle. Kill the zombies and don't let the boy or woman die or get turned. We just summon creatures strong enough to kill the zombies. If Plants vs. Zombies taught me anything, it's that lawnmowers are the best way to kill zombies. "10-8 puzzle. Kill the 3 escaped prisoners or bring them back near the prison. To absolutely nobody's surprise, I chose violence. "10-9 puzzle. Bring the items near the thing they match with. We just use a height item and vehicle to teleport between floors. The window blinds and pedestal can't be picked up, so I used a container to move them. 10-10 puzzle. Bring the pets near the person on the other side. The animals attack each other, so I used a container to move the Dalmatian. Strangely, the cat is considered too big by the game to fit in containers Maxwell can carry, so I moved it with food. My favorite solution is using Lunchbox as a container and the sandwich that spawns with it. It won't make the cat move, but it can lure the grandmother near the cat for the win. Also, this game is kinda silly sometimes. What? What? Since when? "10-11 puzzle. Time for the final level of the challenge. The only thing that could stop us now is if a level required summoning the exact same item 4 times. The level where you have to summon a Starite is right behind me, isn't it? Yup, this level absolutely requires us to summon a toy Starite to spawn the real one. I did get multiple comments saying I should allow synonyms, but if I allowed them, I could use valuable summons like rope 6 times, which would kind of defeat the point of the challenge in my opinion. I would be here on the final level without running out of a single item if I allowed that. Oh yeah, I also got comments saying this wasn't even a challenge, and how the commenter's friend's cousin actually played the game this way, so it's intended. You know, despite being impossible. But do you want to know the worst part about this level? It's almost possible to beat 4 times without synonyms. The most obvious alternate solution is to spawn something else that spawns a Starite. Unless I got unlucky for an hour straight, Genie doesn't spawn Starites until later games in the series. That sucks because Genie Lamp spawns Genie, which would have made 3 clears of the level possible without synonyms. If you want to get like a little crazier, summon a time machine, then summon a Starite. But when picking up the real one, ride the time machine to put the game in a weird state, where you're sent to an area that counts as 10-11 puzzle, but resets our summons to before we summon the Starite. You might think we just win here, but no, the real Starite that wins levels is now what I'll call a glitched Starite, that both isn't the real Starite, and bizarrely isn't the toy Starite Maxwell summons either. The toy Starite can be thrown, and the glitched Starite can't, which I would count as separate summons because they have different properties despite looking the same. This would have been important because the time machine teleports us to an area with another time machine to reset the level, and resets our summons except ones we bring with us. Going back to 10-11 puzzle with the glitched Starite unfortunately doesn't help us either, the level condition just doesn't trigger. Looking at a normal clear of the level shows us that the toy Starite, going from the state where it doesn't exist yet, and we need to tap it to grab it, then let go, is what triggers the real Starite to spawn. And we just can't do that. Even putting it in something and taking it out doesn't work. Or like the level can't trigger the win condition while still on the OK screen, I don't know. But I know what you're thinking, what if we just nuke the level and time it so Maxwell dies as he's traveling back in time? Unfortunately, that doesn't work, since he'll never teleport while dead, so we don't undo the original toy Starite spawn. I don't know why I thought this would help, but I really did. I tried a whole lot of nonsense, and this segment will eventually devolve into me saying that giving a giraffe a cool hat doesn't win the level, which you probably already knew. So, as much as I didn't want to say this, I wasn't able to 100% complete Scribblenauts without reusing objects. You can still beat every level in the game this way if it's any consolation, just not Gold Star, the last level. That leaves the final, no summon clear total of levels at, 2-3 puzzle. Summon something the teacher wants in their classroom, or destroy the fire alarm. Destroying the fire alarm is obviously more optimal to avoid summoning, but nothing inside the level can be used to destroy it. The closest we get is throwing the clock, which can't damage it. Then we'll just have to unsummon it from reality. In theory, the solution is pretty simple, just push things into it until it clips out of the level. In practice, this took like 5 hours. What am I doing with my life? That leaves the real final total of summonless clears at 65 out of 220 levels, or 30% of levels. Remember, that was banning the double jump and other major glitches, so if you allow them, even more could be beaten summonless. About a third of total levels is way more than I expected. As this is the finale, let me know in the comments what your favorite solutions were in this challenge. My favorite is 7-7 puzzles win by doing nothing solution. It still is and always will be crazy to me that it actually worked. Thanks for watching, and especially thanks for watching the whole series. I plan on doing this in other Scribblenauts games, and we'll try this in Scribblenauts Unlimited right after this comes out. So subscribe and or hit that bell if you want to be a part of the streams and help me come up with solutions like people did in this game. And thanks to everyone who did help me with this first game. This challenge wouldn't be the same without all of your creativity.